All right. I am going to post the link in just a second. I'm driving, thus the camera's not on. But hopefully the Bluetooth in the car is picking this up. I'm not sure if it is or is not. So what I'm gonna make sure is my radio's turned all the way down. That way we don't get a strike. Turn the radio all the way down. Go back, and we're just gonna connect to the Bluetooth just in case it didn't connect. So if you lose me for a second, you should pick me up in a second. So there it is. So my question, the topic of discussion, I haven't been doing boxing videos at all. Been having a lot of personal stuff going on, done a couple of Elden Rings. But really, truthfully, boxing, all right, cool. Let me do this. Let me post the link real fast just so I can see if I'm coming through on Bluetooth. If anybody wants to join, or if anybody after this wants to join, they're more than welcome to. Because I really haven't been doing boxing videos lately. I've just been in one of them spells where I don't really feel like it. So there's the link. So my question is, how the hell do you duck somebody that you're fighting? Tell me that. Make it make sense. How do you duck somebody you are fighting? I don't live my life in hypotheticals. I don't live my life on doing theories, although when they're needed, you can use them. But I don't live my life by a theory, by a hypothesis. I don't do the scientific method on things that I know the answer to. And what I know is this is the facts. No scientific method needed. The facts are George Kambosos beat the shit out of Teofimo Lopez, rearranged his face. The dude today still cannot accept that he got his ass whooped. That's how bad he beat his ass. He beat his ass so bad that he's still saying he didn't get his ass beat, that he was robbed. That's a really bad ass whooping. When the whole world sees it and you're the only one that believes it didn't happen, that's bad. Then, right after he fights Teo, he's fighting Devin Haney next. It doesn't matter the A to the Z, how we got here. Here's the facts of the matter. He beat the shit out of Teofimo Lopez, and now he's about to fight Devin Haney. How did he duck? How? How, Sway? You ain't got the answers, Sway. You ain't got the answers. That's the problem. And anybody can jump on the panel. Anybody can tell me where the flaw is in my logic. And yeah, I would love to know how you duck somebody you're fighting. Let me give a shout out to the room real fast. What's going on, Black, aka UGC Flame? What's going on, WWE Clark? What's going on, Grass OG? Excuse me, Gus OG. What's going on, Ronald? I'm not cooking the LDBC. I'm not targeting any individual group. In fact, the channel that I was on that had this debate with me, who got upset about it, was not even an LDBC channel. I, Gus, have no issues with the LDBC. In fact, some of them are sub to me, and sometimes I go over to their channels. I have no issues with the LDBC at all. Never have. A couple of them we've had, issues with, but those are individuals, not a group as a whole. So my question is, how the fuck is George Kambosos ducking when he's fighting Devin Haney next? How is that possible? So let me get this. Let me understand this. Let's bring this back down. Let's unpackage it. So what they're saying is, because I believe George Kambosos is going to win, when George Kambosos beats Devin Haney, then he duck him? Did he still duck him? If George Kambosos beats Devin Haney, did he still duck him? Is it still a duck? How do you duck somebody you beat? How does that happen? The shit don't make sense. The logic is flawed. Where the fuck is the reasoning behind this? I understand that some people may not like some person, or they may like somebody more than other. You know what, fuck it. We're going to get on camera. I look tired as shit, y'all. I haven't been sleeping a lot, but that's okay. And we're going to do the front-facing webcam, so y'all already know. Ugly mode all day. But hold on. Let's jump on webcam like I said. If anybody wants to join, the link is in the chat. Let me turn down the air. Let's do this. Okay. You're not really going to be able to see me. There we go. What's going on, Trouble? Kambosos is ducking someone he's about to fight. That's right. That's what I'm saying. How is it possible? How can you duck somebody you're going to fight? Here's the argument. Here's the motherfucking argument, and I'm going to explain it. This is what was explained to me, which makes no sense. George Kambosos was forced to fight Devin Haney, so therefore, thus, he is ducking Devin Haney because he was forced to fight Devin Haney, which is bullshit. Because what we do know is Lomachenko was a voluntary defense. What we do know is Devin Haney has the regular WBC title. Now, that's the belt that I consider the real belt. I don't consider the franchise the real belt. I don't consider Kambosos undisputed, but my opinion and others' opinions don't seem to matter because Mauricio Suleiman has already said George Kambosos is undisputed. The WBO, if you go to their website on their search bar, if you type in George Kambosos, it will tell you from their own website that they consider him undisputed. So that's another sanctioning body. That lie about other sanctioning bodies don't see him as undisputed is a fucking lie. Anybody right now, go to the WBO website, in their search bar, type George Kambosos and see what the fucking first article they wrote comes up as. It's going to tell you the undisputed George Kambosos is to fight Devin Haney. They're already claiming that he's undisputed. Kelvin, like I said, I do not consider the franchise a real belt. I'm not going to go back and forth over this non-issue. I don't consider it a real belt. I consider the WBC regular belt the real belt. That's what I consider. But what I consider has no dictation on what Mauricio, the CEO of the WBC, says. It has no dictation on what the WBO says. It has no dictation on what ESPN says, etc. The news outlets, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what you say. They're saying he's undisputed, whether we agree or not. Here's the facts that I'm getting to, because I'm going on a tangent. I really am. Their argument is that George Kambosos was forced to fight Devin Haney, which is a bullshit, bold-faced lie. He wasn't. Because as I was saying before I went on the tangent, he's got the franchise belt, which means he has no mandatories, which means he doesn't have to fight anybody as far as the WBC is concerned. He has mandatories with the IBF, the WBO, the WBA, but he has no mandatories for the WBC or anybody in their rankings because that belt excludes him from all mandatories. That's a fact. Secondly, Lomachenko was never ordered to fight George Kambosos. He did a Twitter tweet. He said, "Who do y'all want me to fight next?" Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. Lomachenko won that Twitter tweet. He won that Twitter tweet. He went with Lomachenko. The fight didn't happen, okay? Still a voluntary fight, meaning he could fight anybody. He could fight some guy we never even heard of in Australia if he wanted to, because it's voluntary. It's not a mandated defense. It's a voluntary defense, which means he has the choice. What did he do? He went straight to Haney. The minute that Lomachenko was no longer available, he went to Devin Haney. Now, here's my argument. George Kambosos said from the beginning that he wants to fight the biggest names. He wants to build his legacy. Here's what I know. Here's what I know. This is a fact. Lomachenko, if he never fought again, is a Hall of Fame fighter. He's in the Hall of Fame, period. Whether you like him or not, whether you think he's good or not, whether you think he's given more chances or not, it's irrelevant. He's a Hall of Fame fighter today. Today, right now, Lomachenko's going in the Hall of Fame, period. You know who's not going in the Hall of Fame? Devin Haney at this moment. Do you know what could happen to Devin Haney? He could lose every single fight. He could get beat by George Kambosos and never win again. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Or he could go on to be undefeated like Floyd Mayweather Jr. and be in the Hall of Fame. But here's the thing. It's all hypothetical. It's all hypothetical when it comes to Devin Haney because he's not a Hall of Fame fighter. He hasn't done anything noteworthy of becoming a Hall of Fame fighter at this point. So when you're talking legacy, think about some of your biggest fighters of who just left. Manny Pacquiao, never undisputed. Why do people consider Manny Pacquiao great? Not just the fact that he went 8 divisions and became a world champion, but because of the people he beat. Regardless if they had belts, regardless of what their status was at the time, he beat the who's of divisions. That's why he's considered great. You know who's another great that retired recently? Floyd Mayweather Jr. Was Floyd Mayweather Jr. ever undisputed? No, he wasn't. There's a lot of great champions from the past that people like to say the names of that were never undisputed. A lot. They're Hall of Fame fighters because of the people they beat. Not because undisputed by default, puts you in there. My argument to this is this. Terrence Crawford, he was undisputed. But you'll hear to this day, Earl Spence Jr. fans will argue with it till they blue in the face and about to suffocate from lack of oxygen. They will say that it doesn't matter that Terrence Crawford was undisputed because he won it in a weak era. He didn't beat nobody to get undisputed. It was easier for him. It was harder for Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor beat harder people. Even though Terrence Crawford beat Postile better, it was an easier fight for him. But it's irrelevant. They'll argue that his undisputed really doesn't mean that much because he didn't beat nobody to get undisputed. My point is this. It's about the names you beat that build to your legacy. So, if your whole goal is legacy, then beating a current Hall of Fame fighter like Lomachenko builds your legacy better than beating Devin Haney, who may be forgotten. Nobody, if Devin Haney, this is my point, if Devin Haney loses every single fight from here on, nobody will ever remember his name. He will just be a flash in the pan, a spark of the match. That's it. But nobody will remember him because he's young and he hasn't had time for his career to develop. He could be the next best thing or he could be the next hype train derailed. We do not know because we can't see the future. But what I do know is, to bring it back full circle to the point, Lomachenko is currently a Hall of Fame fighter. So if your only goal is to build your legacy at this point in time, beating Lomachenko is a bigger achievement than Devin Haney. Whether you feel like undisputed is on the line or not, it's irrelevant. So again, I must ask, when somebody is fighting somebody in a voluntary defense, meaning they're not told, meaning they're not mandated, meaning that nothing will happen if they fight a bum, how are they forced to fight that person? The only person in this situation who was forced to do anything was Devin Haney. That's it. That's the only person. And I'm going to tell y'all why he was forced. He was forced in this situation because he opened up his mouth and said, I'll take whatever Lomachenko is taking to fight George Kambosos. Whatever the offer is, give me the same offer and I'll take the fight. That forced all these things that are happening to him upon him. Had he never made that statement, he could have argued, I want more money. I don't want to sign with Top Rank. I want to stay with the Zone. Eddie Hearney's been with me from the beginning. But because he made the statements that he made, he couldn't back out. Or nobody would look at him as the boogeyman. Nobody would look at him as somebody that nobody wanted to fight. He's the only one in this whole situation. Devin Haney is the only one that was forced to do something because George Kambosos didn't have to fight him. He did not have to fight him. So Trouble Laker says Lomachenko would have gave Kambosos a boxing lesson. That is a strong possibility. It is a possibility that Loma could have went out there, schooled him, beat the shit out of him, knocked him out. It's a possibility. It is a very strong. What's going on? Get This Smoke. Me and Get This Smoke go back and forth probably more than me and Hoblo, but I still have love for the dude. Even though we have spirited banters, even though it be borderline, I still got a lot of love for the dude. We don't agree a lot, but I like the dude. The only thing forcing Haney is the desire for undisputed was greater for him than Kambosos. So I disagree with that statement. You can't say that Haney's desire was greater than Kambosos when Kambosos is fighting him next. If anything, they have an equivalent drive for that. That it's equivalent because you got to look at it like this. No matter how you look at it, Lomachenko was the man of the division. He was. Everybody considered Lomachenko number one. Teofimo Lopez dethroned him, thus becoming the number one man of the division. Kambosos went straight for the number one guy and beat him. Beat the shit out of him. Beat him badly. Rearranged his face. Made him look different. His dad didn't even recognize him after the fight. That's how bad he got beat. Then he comes into all these Lomachenko excuses about how he couldn't breathe. But during the fight, he was never gasping for air. After the fight, he was talking perfect. I don't know if he was really sick. I don't know if he was really suffering from lung issues. I'm just saying I didn't see any evidence of it. I would say, hold on, beats everybody at 135, trust me. Who? Devin Haney? David? Is that who you're saying, or are you saying Kambosos? Here's the thing. Like I said, get this smoke. Devin Haney opened up his mouth and made a dumb statement saying that I'll take anything Lomachenko was taking. Thus, George Kambosos, holding all the straps but the regular WBC, took advantage of that because you would be foolish not to. You're going to try to get every advantage you can, whether it's more money, the gloves, the venue, etc. You're going to try to get the biggest advantage that you can. That's just the reality. Haney made that statement. George Kambosos, again, he's fighting Haney as a voluntary defense. Haney is privileged to be fighting on ESPN. I don't know. I don't know about that. I will not say that Haney is privileged to be on ESPN because Eddie Hearn is taking care of him. And I don't think Bob Arum, let's say that Devin Haney beats Kambosos twice. I don't see Bob Arum putting the type of money and backing into Devin Haney that Eddie Hearn did. I really don't. I think Eddie had Haney's best interest at heart whenever Tio was in front of him. Even whenever Eddie was promoting the Teofimo Lopez fight, he told Tio to his face, "You're not undisputed. You don't have the real WBC title." So I think that Eddie had his best interest at heart. He's been on an app drawing trash numbers. Well, that even reaffirms what I'm saying, Gus. If Devin Haney has been drawing trash numbers on an app, but yet he's the highest paid fighter, that means Eddie Hearn was backing him even more. So you got to look at it like this. As far as get the smoke goes, both are fighting involuntary. Yeah, they are. Technically, you're right. There's no flaw in that statement because Devin Haney does have the regular WBC title and he can fight somebody else. That is a accurate statement. But in that statement, you must understand that Devin Haney has a lot more to gain from this fight than George Kambosos does. Devin Haney has 4 straps that he's going to pick up. Kambosos has 1. Now, granted, Devin said that he would throw the franchise in the trash can, but it's still 4 straps that he could get. Well, really 5 if you count the Ring magazine. So Devin's looking at a gain of 5 belts. Kambosos is looking at a gain of 1. It's really not the same. One has more to gain than the other. If Haney beats Kambosos, especially twice, then he has the right to call himself the best of the division. Right now, Kambosos has that right because he beat the man of the division. So all aspects lead to Haney gaining the most from this fight. By the way, Get the Smoke, you're more than welcome to jump on the panel. I put the link up earlier. Both are fighting for undisputed, according to me and you, and AOBS, and anybody else who agrees that the franchise is bullshit. According to George Kambosos, he's already undisputed. According to ESPN, he's already undisputed. According to the WBC, he's already undisputed. According to the WBO, he's already undisputed. And I know for a fact that the WBO considers him undisputed because on their website, if you search his name, their latest article about him claims that he's already undisputed, written by them. I don't care what their rankings show. The article wrote by them announces him as undisputed. So again, yes, I agree. The real WBC title, the only one that should exist is the regular belt. The franchise is some bullshit. But because of that bullshit, Kambosos, in his mind, is already undisputed. That's all I'm saying. Hold on 1 second. Let me go ahead and get the smoke up here. I don't know if you're going to come through my phone or the car. Say something.
What's up? Something. What's up? Peace, man. Get eyes on the road, 10-2. Don't crash. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
You're good. Keep talking.
All right. Yeah, man. So I was with you when you said ESPN, but when you start mentioning other sanctioning bodies, yeah, you lost me. None of those other sanctioning bodies recognize George Kambosos as WBC champ.
So get the smoke real fast. What I want you to do, if you can at this moment, I don't know if you can, I don't know if you're on your phone or you have a computer near you. But if you can, do this. Go to WBO's website, right?
Yeah.
In the search bar, type in George Kambosos' name. A bunch of articles that they wrote about him will come up, right? the latest one that they wrote about him in that article, they call him undisputed.
So
Bro,
I'm
yeah,
not worried about like what an article said. Like if I go to the WBO's website right now and I look at all of the champions in every single weight division, like who they recognize as champ, like at heavyweight, who they recognize as light heavyweight, every division they have listed. Every division, like every sanctioning body, they have their recognized champ.
I agree. But
It says Devin Haney in the
right.
WTC. Like what happens in media. Like there's no way to, there's no what is it? There's no consequence to printing a bullshit article.
So
There's
so get
nothing. There's
this.
nothing there for you. Like all you come away with is that article with some bullshit.
I got you, but get this. Here's the problem, and this is where I would be 1,000% with you if I did not know this. Emmanuel Char was rated as the WBA's champion for who knows how fucking long without ever fighting.
Yep.
That was an error that should have been removed. The
Mhm.
WBO, who we're talking about right now, had a guy listed as their champion that had been dead for like 6 months.
Right, I understand that. That
And
is
they
a one
already
time, right. But you're
so,
talking about it. But you're talking about an error with a. You're talking about an error with a guy, right? Right. When you say that they didn't update that one sanctioning body didn't update it, right? Didn't update their website because a guy had passed and the thing had happened. Like you saw a precipitating event. Right now, what I'm saying to you is every other sanctioning body, and not only that, even that, like you're just saying that they didn't switch the name out. The WBA regular hasn't been required for undisputed since the WBO was recognized as a sanctioning body. So like the WBO is like the most recent one, and maybe they make mistake, maybe it's like weird or something. But all I'm saying is, you went on mute. I don't know if
hear
you're.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm just
Yo, I
saying.
think it messed
I'm
up. I
just
got
saying.
a phone call. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can
Hello?
you hear me?
I think the phone call killed it. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. You can't hear me.
I can't hear you.
Yeah,
Shit.
you can hear me though. Yeah,
All right,
I can
don't
hear you though.
leave. I'm gonna reload. Just get this smoke. Hold it
Yeah, yeah.
down. If
I'll
you can
say it.
hear
I
me
hold it down.
talking,
I
I'll
hold it
be
down.
right
Go ahead.
back. I got a
Yeah, go
phone
ahead.
call that fucked
No
up
sweat.
the stream. I'll
No
be right
sweat.
back.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, and I'll reiterate for I'll just say what my position is before like while Tony White does a reboot, and then I'll reiterate once he gets back. But yeah, like if George Kambosos wants to be undisputed the same way as Devin Haney wants to be undisputed, then Devin Haney's not forced into anything. Both of those guys are forced to do what the other guy wants in order to make the fight happen. So if Devin Haney is forced into making this fight happen unilaterally, is because Devin Haney wants to fight more. That's just the way that it goes, right? That's that to me that is the logical conclusion from the chain of events that we just saw unfold. Yeah. Anyway, so that's me. Piece of the chat.
I know for a fact that
Hold on, let me see what you guys are talking about while Tony's here. Rankings mean more than articles. Yeah, man, like the articles, they I, I don't know how many articles. Remember when they said? Remember that article Dan Raphael? The heralded writer. The source of record ESPN. Their senior writer at the time, Dan Raphael, told us that that Dana White was going to fight Luis Ortiz next. Remember that one? Or remember the article when they were talking about how the undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and AJ had been signed? Yeah. Anyway, point being, I'm not really, like there's no recourse. You can say whatever the fuck you want in an article, and whatever. What happens when it's proved to be false? Everybody says that the article was bullshit. But yeah, to go through this thing, he's on an app drawing trash numbers. Yeah, he has been on an app drawing trash numbers. But he has been marketing that app, right? Like the whole purpose of that app was they're trying to get a marketing thing. As a matter of fact, you can say the same thing about Canelo. Like Canelo's been on that app making trash numbers. AJ's been on the app making trash numbers. Like everybody, that's true for literally everybody fighting on DAZN. I don't know who their ratings driver is, but they released numbers for one fight. It was Canelo Jacobs in the unification, and it was 600,000 in the U.S., 1.4 worldwide. I don't know how much it was worldwide, but because it's different. I can't. Are you speaking now? Oh no. Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know what the price was worldwide because different places have different things, but yeah, that is what it is. AOS, what's up, bro? The true undisputed Kambosos is a liar. Exactly. Kambosos telling Tio he wasn't undisputed. Exactly. Right. Like that's what I'm like. This whole undisputed thing is about. Like it's a three groups of people to me. Well, two groups of people and one person. It's Tiafimo fans, the WBC, and George Kambosos. All right, I should say Team Tiafimo, which is his team and his fans. Yeah, the WBC and George Kambosos. Those like are really the only people talking about this franchise belt, and it's for their own like self interest. ESPN not taking word a network based bias for Top Rank. Not only is it biased for Top Rank, but it is the marketing arm for Top Rank. um, it's specifically what Top Rank. It's what they're doing their job when they favor their own fighters, and they sort of temper that. They try to make it lessen the intensity of their bias or make it harder to detect their bias by offering other fighters from different promotional companies. But for the most part, the ESPN is about that Top Rank business.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Yeah. You're a little bit low though. Your volume's low. Oh no. Oh, now you went out. Where'd it go? Now your volume just went out altogether. It was there. It was lower. Then it just like break out. But you can hear me now at least. Okay, so hopefully we get it spirited back and forth here. There you go. Now I can hear you. I can't see you anymore, but I can hear you. Hello. All right. So Tony's working it out, driving through the United States countryside somewhere, and having technical issues. And okay, I can hear the wind.
All right, so I turned off the Bluetooth to make this easier.
Yeah, it lost the visual, but we got the audio.
What's that?
We lost the there you go. There we go. Visual and audio.
All right.
Now you lost the
So
there you go.
Okay, so we backed up a little bit. Can't hear you quite as well as I did, but that's all right. We'll work with it. Appreciate you holding it down.
Now there's a delay. There's a delay between your audio and the visual.
Are you serious? So it looks like a old Chinese movie. That's what you're
that's it is. We go kung fu flick this thing.
Wow. All right, let me cut off the camera and cut it back on.
Yeah. Do your thing, man.
All right. Is it still bad?
Yeah. Hold up. It was. Oh shit! That delay that fucked me up. Is it still bad? Yeah. Yeah. There's still. It's not. It is what it is, bro. Don't worry about it. Just get the bars off. At least we can hear you. You can turn the camera off altogether if you want. I mean, we speed up your nose a bunch. Like we see your dental work, we see your hairline. It's all good.
All right, so we'll just roll like this. So, anyways, continue with what you were saying.
Oh, I was just saying that. Well, just right now, I was saying that the only people there's like two groups and one individual that's talking about this undisputed thing, like Kambosos being undisputed. It's Team Tiafimo and his fans. I should even say extreme fans, not even just like his regular fans, but like Team Tiafimo and his extreme fans, the WBC and George Kambosos. Like it's like two groups of people and one individual that's talking about that dude's undisputed. Outside of that, man, yeah, I'm not really so much worried about that. But my overall point for hitting the link was just that, it just logically follows, right? If George Kambosos wanted undisputed as much as Devin Haney wanted undisputed, then he would be doing what it took to get undisputed, not making the fight harder to make.
Okay, so let me ask you this: get the smoke, right? Because he also stated that he wants his legacy to be built. He's fighting for legacy, right?
I
So
mean,
here's
both
my
guys are.
question. What's that?
I mean, both guys are. I think like every fight is
No,
like
no,
a
no, no,
legacy,
no.
right?
We know that about Devin Haney. That goes without question. What I'm saying is the topic is George Kambosos, right? Because we all know that Devin wants to be undisputed extremely bad. Like that's apparent. We know he's been wanting to fight other champions and he hasn't got the fights, not due to him, but other people, whether it be the other champions not wanting to fight him, etc. Not doing anything towards Devin. But what I'm saying is my question for you is if the goal of Kambosos is legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you an honest question. Let's say this happens, and this is all hypothetical because Devin is young and his career is new. He has a lot of time to be great, or he has a lot of time to fuck it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's my two questions for you. I said one, I'm gonna give you two. At this moment, Lomachenko, is he a Hall of Fame fighter? Will he go in the Hall of Fame?
I think so. Hold on one sec.
Hey, Trouble, is it choppy? Am I choppy? Is that what you're telling me? Or are you talking about because of the delay? You might, yo, that's a good channel name, Kung Fu Boxing Talk. I like that. I like that a lot. Yo, Troublemaker, you need to make that a channel. Hop on some other panels so you can get some free advertisement. That might take off. That's a real good title. You can even cover MMA. So at this moment, Get the Smoke is doing something.
Yeah, sorry. You got somebody just hit delivery at the front door.
Oh, that,
So I imagine so, right? I don't know if he's going to be first ballot, but I think that second, third ballot, depending on I feel like he should be in the Hall of Fame. But if your whole
right.
question is if you were to say which one right now is a bigger legacy fight for Kambosos, Loma or Haney, I would say Loma. But if your question to me was which one is a bigger legacy fight, Haney or Ryan Garcia, I would say Haney.
Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Um, so say that again. The second part of that.
Right. So Loma would be the one, that would be the more urgency legacy fight for Kambosos right now. He would be over Haney. He'd be that over everybody. But if you remember, George Kambosos was talking about fighting Ryan Garcia instead of Haney. So in that scenario, Haney is a more pressing legacy fight and more urgent for your legacy than Ryan Garcia.
100% agree with everything you just said. I have no disagreement with anything you said. Devin Haney is a better at this moment legacy fight than Ryan Garcia would be. But my point was this: if your whole goal was fighting for legacy, right? If you beat Lomachenko, that's a Hall of Fame fighter that you just knocked off, a current fighting Hall of Famer. My only point is this: Devin Haney could be as good as Floyd Mayweather Jr. and never lose. He could be better and go 51-0. That's a possibility. Or another outcome could be he could lose to George Kambosos, never recover, and continue to lose. And if that happened, he would never go into the Hall of Fame. So Haney does not build your name as much as a Loma win would, because Haney is we don't know how he's going to turn out, whereas Loma is a for sure Hall of Famer.
I would agree with that if it wasn't for Vladimir Klitschko and Chris Bird. Chris Bird fought more Hall of Fame. Like, as a matter of fact, Vladimir Klitschko fought 0 Hall of Fame guys, right? He had 69 fights, never managed to climb in the ring with a Hall of Famer, even though he fought Chris Bird, who managed to fight not only him and his brother, but also Evander Holyfield, right? So, like, yeah, you don't need that. Like, one guy's in the Hall of Fame, one guy isn't. One guy fought the Hall of Famers. One guy didn't, but the guy who's in the Hall of Fame is the guy who didn't fight the Hall of Famers. So what my point being is, you can babysit belts all the way to the Hall of Fame. You know, shout out to Jamal Charlo. Hey, he's following Triple G's footsteps.
Hey, there it is. You learn from those that came before you.
Hey, Triple G career better than that though. Jamal in the league of his own, dog.
Not when he was at 32 years old. It wasn't. Like Triple G wasn't unifying until he was like 33, 34 years old.
Hey man, you get better with time, right? Like fine wine.
I'm just saying, like you could do it a year before Triple G, or you could do it a year after Triple G. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Triple G and Triple G and Loma were going up to the Hall of Fame at the same time, vying for the last spot. Who do you think would get in? Triple G or Loma?
At the same, you said at the same time?
Yeah, they're vying for that last spot.
Oh, it'll be Loma.
You think Loma's getting in over Triple G?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Triple G lost to Canelo, and he gave Canelo a one of those draws on his resume. And other than that, he lost to anybody.
But he didn't. Who his best win is who?
I mean, I get you. And listen, like I said, I'd feel you if I didn't see Vladimir Klitschko. Who's his best win? Samuel Peter?
But hold on, how long was his reign though?
And that's what you say. The same thing about Triple G. How long was his reign?
So but he was unified champ.
Klitschko,
unified champ, right? So go ahead.
I'm just saying.
I was gonna say, Klitschko beat a lot of good fighters. Besides AJ. Hold on. Besides AJ, the only one to beat Pulev. He gave him his first loss. He gave Povetkin his first loss. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Even Samuel.
The question is, what's his best win?
Hold on, get it smoked. Let me finish. Even Samuel Peters, who you mentioned at the time, they was billing him as the next Mike Tyson because he was knocking everybody out till he got in front of Klitschko and got his ass whooped twice.
I'm just at the question was, who was his best win?
Probably like Povetkin, Pulev, I would say.
I mean, Povetkin had the WBA regular. And, you know, he had an amateur, you know, he had some amateur success, you know, he's an amateur standout. But, you know, Povetkin also fought Chris Bird, Hasim Rahman, right? He had like a couple champions on there. Like, regardless of how you feel like Hasim Rahman got the title. I guess, I mean, even Povetkin has a better resume than fucking Vladimir Klitschko when it comes to best wins.
Yeah, but when you beat that guy, you inherit what he did.
Yeah, I mean, but okay, so you talk about
don't necessarily inherit what they did, but you get the credit for beating the guy who, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the problem is he beat the Rahman 8 years after Rahman had the title against Lennox Lewis. He brought Chris Bird 6 years after Chris Bird was anything. Like, yeah, I mean, they're good names, but you fight a good name at the end of their career. I mean, I get it. I'm just saying that when it comes to that whole like best name thing, it gets I don't know. Point being,
we lost Black.
Yeah.
He might. But my only point was this: get the smoke. My only point is this: at this point in time, because we never know the future, the more notable win at this moment would have been Lomachenko.
Definitely.
However, right. Okay, so we agree there. My point is this, though. The whole point of this is people are still trying to say George Kambosos ducked Haney when he's fighting him. How do you duck somebody you're fighting?
Because I think there's reports that Kambosos hasn't signed it yet. Even though Haney's like agreed to all of his things. I think this is just like, negotiations in the media, which is never like a good sign.
I don't know. The last I saw that I read that it was signed for June 5th.
Yeah, but I think they were saying now it appears to be, if the word around the water cooler is that it's Haney that signed on, but now Kambosos hasn't. I don't know if that's the case. Like, that's just YTV's, content creators got to have content.
I got you, but here's the thing. If it turns out that Kambosos blows the fight, and it doesn't happen because he doesn't sign the contract, right? June 5th goes by, he fights somebody else. He fights Ryan Garcia. Let's just throw out a name, right? Then it can be stated that he ducked Devin Haney. But at this current time in the trajectory that they're on, how can anybody say he's ducking the guy he's fighting?
Only I think because the fight isn't announced. And I think that the team Haney is making sure everybody knows how onerous the terms were, right? not the details of it, but just that they weren't necessarily like it seemed like from what it seems like to me, like listening to the drums beating, is that George Kambosos asked for everything he could, and did everything he could to get out of this fight, and Haney won't let him. That's what it seems like. Like, bottom line, that's what's happening. It seems like they offered this dude 90-10, and he has to throw his grandma's pearls in. But whatever. I don't know the details. I'm just saying that's the way it's being portrayed right now.
Yeah, but here's the only problem that I have with that statement. Haney should have never said, I'll take whatever Lomachenko is taking. That's where he fucked up. So we don't know what the contract looked like for Lomachenko. So if throwing in your grandma's pearls was a part of the Loma deal, then he fucked up by saying that.
Well, only if he won't back it up. Like, he feels like, cool, I'll do it, right? Like, I'll fight you on Jupiter. If the fight's on Jupiter, I'll go to fucking Jupiter. I'll take the shit in the stick. He said all that stuff. If he's willing to accept the consequences of his words, then that's it. He already said, I'm willing to. I'm down. I'm game.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, he fucked up by saying that. So since he said it, stand by your word and don't complain about whatever's in the contract. You said that you would do it for this. Now you're getting it. Don't complain.
Well, you don't know that we're getting it. You could, like, we don't know that this is Loma's contract. Just because he said I'll take Loma's contract doesn't mean that the thing that he got was Loma's contract.
I agree. We do not know, and we don't know that we don't know. So all we do know is that this is the contract he's been given. We have no idea what the other contract looked like. We can only assume that he said he would take the same, and he's getting the same. And if he is getting the same, then that's his fault for saying that he would take the same. That's all I'm saying.
I'll go one better. Even if it's not the same contract, even if it's a worse contract, and he still signed it, cool. That's my point, is that he is showing I am willing to do whatever it takes to get undisputed. Meanwhile, I think that if Devin Haney says no to any of this stuff, George Kambosos says, I don't want this fight, which says to me that George Kambosos doesn't really want to be undisputed as much as Devin Haney does.
So here's my thing. Again, this gets into the hypothetical realm. So I would agree with you. If Devin Haney says no to one term that's just egregious, right? It's just so ridiculous that nobody would say yes to it. And because of that, Kambosos pulls out, then he's a duck. But that has not happened. And because it has not happened, and as far as we know, the fight's going to be June 5th, he's not ducking.
Right. And I'll go you one better. I feel like, I was on a panel yesterday and somebody made a great point, and I don't know dude's name. But he's just like, this seems more like a suit move than a George Kambosos move. And I'm willing to, I'm willing to be charitable to entertain that, this whole like this stipulation that the second fight has to be in Australia and all this stuff, and one way rematch clauses may not be a George Kambosos thing. Right. It sounds more like a handler thing than it does like a George Kambosos thing. But George Kambosos did say that he wasn't undisputed, said that Teo wasn't undisputed, and then turned around and said he is undisputed. So I don't know. Like, George Kambosos himself is suspect. Well, his word is suspect in my mind.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You're going to say a lot of stuff when you're about to fight somebody and take this stuff. But when you get it, you switch up because now it's yours. So you value something greater than you did before it was yours. That's the only thing about that. He could have said whatever he said about the franchise, but the minute he got it, it now becomes his. And once you inherit it, it's more valuable. So
No, but
your
that's not what
opinion
happened.
may change.
But that's not what happened. That, like I'm saying, he got it and then said he needed to fight Devin Haney to become undisputed. And then once the whole other people got into the mix, then all of a sudden he became undisputed.
I got you. But at the end of the day, this final result is he's fighting Devin Haney.
I mean, if he fights Devin Haney, listen. Like I said, this is all like it's. We already talked about this in the beginning. This article says this thing, right? And part of being a promotional company, right? To me, it's a threefold thing. It's a tripod where you have your networks, you have your sanctioning bodies, and you have the media outlets, all that you need to manage for your fighter, right? So when it comes to the sanctioning bodies, you have your one business, when it comes to networks, you have another business, and when it comes to the media, you have another business. So like a whole bunch of mis and disinformation that comes out in the media, I just understand that's what the game is, right? So right now, it's a fight that's supposed to be happening on June 5th. Devin Haney is rumored to have signed it, and Kambosos is rumored to have not signed it. It's rumored to have a one-way to fight in Australia, rematch clause with a third fight option on and all fights are supposed to be on ESPN. Like that's supposedly what's supposed to be happening.
I got you. And with all that being said, I look at it like this. If Oscar De La Hoya would have told Floyd Mayweather Jr., you got to wear pink shorts with unicorns on them to the ring, he would have done it. He did everything he needed to do to secure that fight with De La Hoya, and because of it, he's a billionaire. The thing about it is, when you have more to gain than you do to lose, and you want to be the next cash cow, so to say, you sometimes have to take a step backwards to take 10 forward. It's all about tactics. It's all about moving your pieces on the chessboard. You can't always come out ahead. Sometimes if I sacrifice a pawn, well, now I might have you in checkmate if you take that pawn. So it's all about how you play the game. And the bottom line is, yeah, it sucks. I never like rematch clauses to where you lose and now I have to abide by you as if you're still the champion. I've always felt that, like, cool, we can have a rematch clause, but if I beat you, I'm the A side, you come to my backyard, and that's how it's going to be. But unfortunately, when business and money and everything else gets involved, it doesn't play out that way every time. So sometimes when you know you're better, which I'm assuming Devin Haney believes he is, you just have to take the loss to get a game. And that's what he's doing. So I understand why he's doing it. I'm not questioning his heart. The only thing I'm saying is, what the whole video's about is George Kambosos isn't ducking him until he pulls out of the fight or the fight does not happen because of him. Until that happens, you can't say he's a duck.
No, I mean, look. So firstly, right? So yes, Floyd took the short end against De La Hoya. He didn't take the short end of the stick against Diego Corrales, right? It's like, it's who you're fighting. Like, George Kambosos has done absolutely nothing to be like dictating the shit other than the fact that he beat Teofimo Lopez. Other than Devin Haney winning those belts, George Kambosos can kick rocks. Like, Australia is not the business, and who gives a damn about that, especially if you're not really even going to be campaigning at 135 for very long. This is just like, I want to be undisputed. This is the only leverage that Kambosos has in this fight, is Devin Haney's desire to be undisputed. But yeah, in order to do that, in order to get what you need,
by Devin Haney becoming undisputed.
And no, I'm just saying, like, in order to get what he wants,
there was like a delay, a lag.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, in order to get what he wants, if this is what he has to do, then cool. This is what he has to do. He's willing to do it. I'm not counting his money. I'm not getting licked up. I'm not taking the punches, and I'm not spending the cash. So if this is what he's willing to do, cool. I'm gonna get the fight then. If Kambosos signs his deal, but yeah, to reiterate what you're saying, it's way too early for anybody to call duck. But you know how how reactionary the YTBC is. People are intuitively and professionally aggrieved. As soon as anything happens, the whole world's fucking bullshit. People are pussy and bitches and ducking and like whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I got you. And here's the thing. Devin does gain something, because if it becomes undisputed, like you said, his time is limited at 135. What that does for him is it automatically puts him into contention for another world title at 140. And now what we do know is Josh Taylor's vacating all them belts because he doesn't want to get his ass whooped again against Jack. So he's running from 140 pounds to go to 147. So we know all those belts are going to be up for grabs. So if Devin Haney can beat Kambosos twice, then his very next fight very well could be for a vacated title. And he just walks into a belt. That's what Undisputed does for him. It also gives him a quicker route to be a two-divisional champion, which builds to his legacy, which will help him become a Hall of Fame fighter. So even though monetarily at this moment it's not doing anything for him, he's probably taking less than what he's used to. Or maybe it's a little bit more because of the magnitude of the fight in Australia. I don't know. Percentage-wise, it's going to be less. Actual income may be more, possibly. I don't know. We'll have to see what the ticket sales do. But it sets him up for more success, whether it be a quick route to another title. It gives him a bigger name because now he can claim that he's undisputed. He can claim that he took over the 135 division before he moved up. It does a lot for him. So again, sometimes you just have to swallow your pride, take the short end of the stick, and then beat the other motherfucker on the head with it. And that's what he needs to do. But again, full circle, until George Kambosos pulls out of the fight and does not allow Devin Haney to beat him with that short end of the stick, can't say he's ducking.
Yeah, I mean, listen, right? What's trending now? I'm just saying, like the whole duck thing is what's trending now, and what because of that, the reason why that is trending is because the reports that Kambosos hasn't signed his part of the deal, on the heels of all of this other stuff that he's asking for that apparently Devin Haney says he's all cool with, right? So that's like if all of those things are true, right? If I feel like it's a reasonable response and a very even-handed response, actually, to call George Kambosos a duck. The YTBC, in my opinion, is very rare. Like, the whole like keep the same energy or apply the same standard to one fighter that they do to another. But in this particular case, it seems like the YTBC has gotten behind the PR campaign Devin Haney is waging, saying, I signed my shit and I'm going over here with these funky ass terms and I'm coming here to give you guys undisputed fights. This other dude is tripping. The YTBC seem to have taken Devin Haney up on this one.
What's going on, Feliciano? And that's fine that they want to, run with the PR campaign. But what I always say is never down another fighter, because when your fighter loses to that person, then what do they really look like? I've heard so many people try to say that Kambosos can't fight. He got lucky. T.O. was at his worst. Blase. So if Kambosos goes in there and beats the living shit out of Devin Haney, then keep the same fucking energy and realize if Kambosos is shit, then Devin Haney's that fucking toilet bowl that the shit goes into.
Well, no, it's just that people will be saying that I doubt that Devin Haney will be losing support if Kambosos goes in. Like, I think it would be more like Kambosos has won them over. Like, if he beats him convincingly, it's not like, because a lot of people are picking Kambosos, but they're picking him through politics, not by actual like in-ring activity, right? So if he goes in there and beats Devin Haney convincingly in the ring, I think people will just go to they'll say that Kambosos is the truth, because then it's like back-to-back dudes. Yeah, top of the division, all that stuff. Like Kambosos, it's kind of a funny thing. Like, so Devin Haney, we're talking about Devin Haney moving up. No one's talking about George Kambosos moving up. Like, at this point, like if I'm a George Kambosos handler, which is why I understand the business part, what does it behoove George Kambosos to become undisputed right now? It would probably be like, what is it like? And really, what's good about 3 belts that isn't good for 2 belts? Like, you can drop one of them suckers, fight somebody else again, and you can become undisputed in like 4 or 5 fights, 6 or 7 fights, right? He ain't moving up.
Well, you gotta understand though. Really, if 140 is where you're moving to, all the money truly is at 135. Because look at it like this: Devin Haney, you can make money off of him. Lomachenko, you can make money off of him. Ryan Garcia, you can make money off of him. And Tank Davis, who the fuck knows where he fights, but it could be at 135. You can make a hell of a lot more money than any of these guys off of him. So I mean, I can understand why he would stay at 135 because realistically, there's more money there. Because when you go up, Postol's not making money. Ramirez ain't really making money. Prograve's really not making money. The headline star, Josh Taylor, is leaving. Catterall's not going to get you any money, who just beat the shit out of that headliner. So to me, it makes more financial sense. Just stay at 135.
Well, I'm saying that Kambosos can't go to 140. He'll get his entire ass whooped, and I think the money is at 147. And this is all about Devin Haney making money at 147. All this other stuff is just food on. Like, we're talking about a 23-year-old kid who's maybe 2 weight classes below where he's going to end up. Who knows what Devin Haney's going to look like in 5 or 6 years? He might be at 154. I don't think he has the power for 154, but he might. Who knows what that looks like? I'm just saying that I think that the money in boxing is at 147. It starts at 147. 135 is it has a weird market right now because you have a guy who's doing pay-per-views, which is very rare at lightweight. And then you have the zone that's coming in, and they're trying to pay their way to get into a market. And so the purses are not necessarily reflective of like the market historically at that division. And then you got Devin Haney, who is not just he's a young champion, but he's been his own promoter the whole time. So he's been getting 2 checks. I don't know. Like his thing at 130, like Devin Haney at 135, I don't think he can stay at 135. I think he just will outgrow the division. Kambosos, I think, probably would be not really well served about moving up at all, because there's a lot of fucking dudes that'll take his head off. Not a lot of money, like you just pointed out. And so, like I'm saying, like, instead of trying to be undisputed, it would probably be even a better choice for Kambosos to, like, not have to pay like sanctioning fees and not worry about all these damn mandatories and stuff. Drop a belt even, versus becoming undisputed at this point. Like, he's still like on the youngish side of things. He got like 5-6 years left, and he ain't going anywhere other above 135 pounds in my mind.
I don't know. I don't know if Kambosos could go above 135. I don't know. The big issue with Devin Haney is his advantage is no longer an advantage if it goes up to 147. What his advantage right now is his height and his size. At 147, he's little. And the problem with that is if he doesn't develop strength and power when he goes up to 147, it's going to get a lot more difficult for him. Now, he very well could be weight draining himself to the point of where that's why his punching power is missing. I don't know. There's people who just can't punch. They're good boxers. They're fast. Look at Paulie Malignaggi. He's got fucking, I call Devin Haney bunny paws. If Devin Haney's got bunny paws, fucking Polly's got like hamster paws. Like, the dude does not have any type of power, but he's been a world champion. He's a really good boxer. Some guys just aren't gifted with it. But the issue becomes when you're used to being the longer, stronger guy at these lower divisions, and you go up there against guys who are much bigger than you, longer than you, and they're taking away the advantage you once held, you got to have something to keep them off of you when you're the one having to get close now and not fight from range like you used to do. So while I agree that Haney looks big for where he's at, if he does not develop power, I don't know how well he's going to do when he moves up. That's all, especially at 147. 140, he may be all right. But once he gets up to 147, there's going to be guys there at 5'10", 5'11", with power. Power. It's going to be hard.
Maybe. I mean, but those guys are also going to be green, right? Like the thing is, Devin Haney is coming in at a real good time where there's a bunch of dudes going out. The next generation is kind of big, so who knows how long they're going to be there? Because you figure Boots and Virgil are like the future 147, but those dudes ain't going to be at 147 for very long either. So then it's like, who's coming up? It's not like a bunch of big dudes, not a whole bunch of guys making noise. He can fix those holes in his game, figure out whether his man strength comes in or doesn't come in, like spend a year and a half, 2 years at 140, have 2-3 fights over there, maybe 4 at the tops. You fix the holes in your game, and then move up and catch a title. Like you said, Paulie had one. Who knows who the hell is coming up? There'll be a lot of dudes coming up from 140, moving up to 147 as that class moves out. Yeah, man. Maurice Hooker might have a championship or something at 147. Like, I think Haney could get that dude.
Okay. I don't know about that, my dude.
How long do you think Virgil and Boots have at 147? A year or two?
Well, you gotta
Virgil don't have any time left.
You gotta understand though, there's other upcomings. You got like Connor Ben, you've got David Avanesian. Like, these are guys that Haney would be bumping heads with, that have a hell of a lot more power than him, that are stature-wise the same stature but bigger men in general. And they're both extremely fast, like Haney. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
but Haney's a way better boxer, right? But Haney's that's what I'm saying. He's already a way better boxer. So like think of it in like 2 years if he like fixes some hole. Like, he still has some development to do, and who knows what if his power is. I don't even know what about saying his power carries up.
Uh-huh.
Like, if he gets less, if he has less snap on his shots moving up, then he's got an issue, right? But if he is at least as strong as he is now, he has at least the same kind of snap, he should be all right against like the Conor Benns of the world and all that stuff. I just, I got to see Conor Benn also develop.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, even a guy like Blair the Flair, who just got knocked out by Roca, like, I don't know if Haney could hang with those guys because they're bigger than him and they're a lot more powerful. Now, I give Haney, he does have a lot of technical boxing ability, but the thing is, like, here's a prime example. Lomachenko is a way better technical boxer than Teofimo Lopez, but Teo just walked his ass down. And the thing is, you have to have enough power. No matter how good of a boxer you are, if you're fighting somebody bigger than you, you've got to at least have enough to keep them off of you. If you can't do that, then you're in for a lot of trouble. Like, people like to say, oh, Floyd Mayweather used to run. He used to bullshit. Floyd used to stand his ground in the center of the ring. And the thing about Floyd was, people never gave him credit for the power that he had. He used to stop people dead in their fucking tracks. Like, when he hit people, it hurt him. He wasn't aggressive as he got older. He didn't follow up the advantages. But every shot that he would land, he would stop people. He would pop their heads back. He had power. He had the ability to go up 5 weight classes because that power, even the bigger dudes, he could stop. Haney, I'm not so sure about.
It wasn't just that. I'm sorry. It's been a minute since we've been on a panel together. Right? I see you trying to double dutch your way in. Like, hey, can I say? But
I'm trying.
1 second, bro. The thing about the Floyd Mayweather shot, it was power, but it was power from speed, accuracy, and shot selection. That, like, it was a thing that disrupted what the other guy was doing. And I think Haney can do that. And the thing about the difference between like the Loma and the Teo thing, like, Loma is a better technical boxer, but he has a flaw. Like, he doesn't do everything behind the jab, and he's not really that great. Like, really what he is a mid-range pocket fighter. That's what Lomachenko is, and he doesn't work behind the jab. What Haney is he is a distance controller, and he does everything behind the jab. That's a different kind of thing that you have to overcome when a guy's just bigger than you, because you can just if all you're doing is sticking, moving, and hooking off the jab, that stronger than you thing, you got like that's where the styles make fights. But I feel like Haney has technical ability, and we got to see them both fight. Like, Conor Ben's already at 147, Devin Haney's at 135. I'm just saying, who knows what Conor Ben looks like. He could get like his ass whooped several times and not be be a factor in a couple years. Depends on how that guy's handled too, right?
That was my whole point about Haney. He's so young that he could get his ass whooped a few more times and not even be relevant. That's why I was saying earlier, that at this moment, and you agree, the Lomachenko is more of a legacy fight than Devin Haney is, because we don't know what he's going to turn out to be. But here's the deal. I got to go for like 30, 40 minutes. I'm going to leave the panel up. Y'all are more than welcome to stay on. I'll be back in like 30, 40 minutes. So y'all chop it up if y'all don't mind, and I'll be back.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Protein shake.
that Canelo diet, huh?
The Devin Haney thing. Devin's only 23, so by the time we're talking 2 weight classes up to 147. So by the time he gets up there, he's going to be what? Maybe 27, 28. We're talking. So he will have his man strength by then. He will have grown a little bit more by then. He'll have filled out more. So to say that I'm not too worried about Devin Haney having that power to stop people in the tracks. I'm not saying he's going to have power to knock people out, but I think he'll have the capabilities of stopping people from just lunging in at him and coming in crazy. People aren't doing that now at 135. So by the time he fills out and grows into his man strength, I can't imagine people doing that to him at 147.
I think he's gonna do better at the higher weight classes. That's my opinion, though. I think he will do better. I think that 35 is definitely been taking quite a bit out of him, to maintain the weight. But I think when he does go up, I think Devin Haney is gonna be a lot better. Maybe be able to have absorb the punches better, have a have a little more pop on the shots. We'll see. Definitely got to see.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, the way he reacts to taking a shot isn't great right now, but I do think that's due to the weight drain. He's draining himself down. I'm not saying he's getting hurt. It's just his reactions to shot after he takes a shot. It just doesn't seem like he's holding the shots as well as he should be. I think at 140 he'll show that. I think 140 is probably going to be his best division. I think that's where you'll really see him at his best, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, we seen with I remember seeing Shakur thing when he started out at 26 and then he went up to 30 and he seemed like he's better. He's more filled out. He got more power at 30. So maybe it'd be the same effect for Devin when he go up for the first time. He might have be better at the higher weight class. But I was sitting there thinking with this rematch clause in effect, and when if he fights Lomachenko, in the third fight of that deal, Loma might be favored to win that. Like he might have the advantage because by that time we don't know if Devin Haney gonna be able to still, make 35 and be strong. You know what I mean, and have all the everything working for him, and it's like Lomachenko is gonna have, because I think Lomachenko still gonna be a problem. I don't know what he's gonna do between those fights, but I think Lomachenko is definitely gonna be strong.
Yeah, I don't believe that that third fight will be Lomachenko. I believe it was going to be a 140 fight. That's just my opinion. I think in order to keep and try and keep Devin Haney on that side with Top Rank, they're going to have to give him something in order to try and keep him. Giving him a Loma fight, just defend undisputed at 135 for a second time, as it'll stand, because he'll have obviously beaten George and then beaten him in the rematch. That doesn't really do anything for Devin Haney, because after the Lomachenko fight, he's going to drop those belts and move up to 140. And at 140, all there is Top Rank fighters, really. Most of the fighters up there, most of the fighters up there is Top Rank fighters. So for him to leave there after beating Lomachenko and go up to 140 and say, "Oh, I'm back with Eddie Hearn," it doesn't really make any sense, because he's going to put himself in a position he was in before this fight got signed, where he's going to be froze out by the rest of the Top Rank. So I believe the third fight will probably be a 140 title fight He'll drop the 135 belts after he's beaten George a second time, and it'll be an instant title fight because maybe for the WBO because it'll probably be classed as super champion by then.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I'll go ahead, get the smoke.
No, I was just saying it's a good idea. And my thing's real short. It's a good business move to sign for Top Rank, even if he moves. Like I don't even think he needs to do the George Kambosos fight again. If he beats him the first time, he can just move up then.
Yeah, but that's the contract, isn't it? That's the only reason why I'm saying that's just the contract.
I mean, generally those rematches are about the title, not necessarily you as a fighter, right?
Yeah, so that is true. Yeah, that
if
is
you're willing
true.
to give up the titles, then they ain't worried
but
about
also, it. But also, I think he will probably have a legal case on him because I don't think it's about the titles. This rematch isn't about the titles. I think it's just about Devin and George.
So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Is George Kambosos saying that you can't move up? You must fight me at 135 pounds? What if you can't make the weight? Then what?
Well,
Are you coming overweight? Then what? Like,
okay, I get what you're saying. Smoke, you always
like if Devin Haney drops the titles, George Kambosos still wants to fight Devin Haney?
Well, it depends on what the contract says. We don't know what this contract says because by all accounts, Smoke, you look at by all accounts, what's been in the media and what the articles are saying, this contract's mental. Like Devin Haney's had to sign away his life to get this fight. So we don't know we don't know if it's in the contract. Like it don't matter what you do. If you beat me, I don't care what you do with the belts. You gotta fight me again. So
man, shout out to Dollar Bill Haney because he got this dude he went from ashy to classy. He got the whole YTBC in his corner behind the rumors of this contract. Like Devin Haney had to crawl. It's like Shawshank. He had to crawl through 500 yards of foulest get the freedom.
Yeah, but George still has to look over the contract, make sure it's not a fake signature.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with it is how if he wins, he got to get the same pay. You know what I mean? Like he got to be subjected to the same pay, even in a rematch, and just be treated like B-side. Like that's just crazy, man. That
is crazy. I think that the thing that's most crazy is the fact that it has to be in Australia again. The money thing, Haney's going to earn his
even in defeat. Like
Haney's going to earn his money. To say right rematch, you get the same money. Okay, Haney already knows he will end up earning his money, but to say that the rematch can't even defend the belts in your own country. Like I've come over and beat you. Like let me defend it in mine. You want to defend it in yours, right?
All right, give me the option. Like why? Like if I want to beat you in your hometown again, I can do that. Or you can bring your happy ass to fucking Vegas where everybody fights.
Yeah, no, but it sounds like
somewhere else.
I said this last night on Lady Chance. It feels to me this deal wasn't supposed to be accepted in what's being reported. It feels like it's a deal. It wasn't given in good faith. It was a deal like he's not going to accept it. If you're going to accept it, we win, all ends up. So, there wasn't meant to. No one thought Haney would. To be honest with you, I'm a Devin Haney fan, and I'm surprised he accepted this deal.
Well, it's the thing where you're just calling guys bluff, like you're just waiting for the Beckham fight to get called.
Right. Yep. And you know what?
I got you.
Yeah, I said yeah, and I just Smoke. I salute you for that one, Smoke.
Man, it's just like I mean, you got to give all the respect to Devin Haney. Not a lot of people is willing to humble themselves and accept B-side. Usually everybody kind of want to pretend that they Floyd Mayweather on their A-side shit. But this guy's literally daring to, he's daring to be great. He's humbling himself and willing to accept B-side in order to become A-side if he becomes victorious. I mean, unfortunately, in this case, even if he wins, he's going to have to be B-side twice. But, you know what I mean? It just shows that, when you question what is most important to them, it ain't money. It's a
No.
legacy.
Well,
You
I
know what
think
I mean? So you got
I
to get
also
that guy
think
right.
that they learned from the early days because when Devin was coming through, he really chose the money by going his own route, going with Eddie Hearn. He did choose the money instead of going to the platforms like Top Rank, but the deals Top Rank and Showtime or whatever was offering him, it wasn't good enough for their value. But now that I think they've realized it don't matter what we value ourselves, these people aren't going to give us fights unless we take the short money now and make them value us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
100%.
mean, how old is he right now?
23.
God damn, for real?
23.
3 years old, man.
Oh my god, dude! I've been fucking arguing with you like you, man. Good lord.
Oh no,
No, not
I'm
him.
talking about
We
Devin
talking about
Haney.
Devin, bro.
Okay,
I'm
dude.
me now. I'm 31.
Like, bro, I was like, all that fucking thing.
Hey,
What you?
he's about to
Nah,
go in on you, bro. He's about to go in on you. Like, yo, young ass over here.
Yeah, man. Jesus Christ,
nah,
I was
bro.
about to change my entire opinion of you. Okay.
Nah, bro. I'm 31.
Yeah. There we go.
Nah, I thought you said how old is he as in Devin Haney.
Yeah,
That's a
I
no.
was talking
oh
about Devin.
you yeah. UGC was
Hey,
talking about Devin, yeah.
and George is how old?
I think George is like 26, 27.
Okay, so they both fairly young then. Okay, so Devin will be the younger undisputed
Yeah,
champion. He wins, you know.
yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question. I mean, I think Get the Smoke don't consider Kambosos
Nah, George is
undisputed.
28. George is 28.
Oh, 28? Okay. Hey, but do you consider Kambosos undisputed right now, or does he need to
Hell
be
no.
Devin Haney to be considered
Hell
that?
no.
All
No,
right.
hell no. Undisputed. He can't be undisputed. Me and Tony went through this yesterday on Lady Chance. He can't be undisputed until the IBF, WBO, and WBA says he's undisputed. That
Yeah.
is, in my opinion. He can't be. It's not possible.
There is one belt that all of the sanctioning bodies recognize in every division, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not two
Ring.
belts. There's just one belt that they all
Oh,
say.
yeah.
Within your division, like within your own sanctioning body, you can have as many fucking belts as you want. But none of those other sanctioning bodies recognize that shit. Like
Yep.
even like
You could have your international belt, your
yeah, all
regular
that.
belt, all that.
Yeah,
I said the
go
same.
crazy.
I said it to Tony yesterday. Not even the IBO. You could have the IBO and they class you as a unification. Any IBO champion can't unify. They can't be unified. If you have an IBO belt, another champion cannot unify with you just for an IBO belt.
The
It's not
IBO is
classed
like
as unification.
the IBO is like a sponsorship belt. They're like
Yeah,
they like
exactly.
I think they pay the champions to keep. They just carry
So,
our belt for us, homie.
yo, Smoke. I think the WBC trinket belts mean more than the IBO.
Yeah, man. Like, listen,
The pearl belt.
that silver belt has some guys in it. Like Hellenius
Yeah.
acquitted himself in recent history. Dylan
Mhm.
White's come up,
Yeah.
kind of nice. Povetkin held it kind of nice. Like Bermain Stavern is a pretty champ.
Shit.
Like,
How many
that's
defenses does
super
Dylan
champ.
White have for that silver shit?
Yeah, man. He was with that shit. He was mad about it, but he had it.
Yeah, but that still meant more than the IBO.
Say again. Yeah,
That's still meant.
Yeah, I can't tell you the IBO champion. I mean, I guess it was Klitschko before AJ.
Klitschko, yeah,
and
Klitschko.
maybe came on Klitschko's watch or something. But outside of AJ, can't tell you another IBO champ.
Nah, there ain't nobody rapping IBO.
I mean,
Chris Eubank Jr.
Laura
Chris Eubank Jr. is IBO champion.
Oh yeah, that's
Laura
right.
used to have
The Graves fight. That last the Gale. That last the Gale fight for the IBO.
No,
Triple G used to have that shit.
Oh, you know what? You know what? Manny Pacquiao is living off of one of those divisions. That IBO was online when he fought Ricky Hatton.
Hell no.
It was the IBO and the Ring Magazine. That was in that fight.
Pacquiao won the IBO. Damn. Pacquiao former IBO. He won. He said straps, man.
Nah, but like I said,
former IBO champ.
Even Tony made the mistake to say the Ring magazine recognizes him as undisputed. No, they don't.
No,
The
hell no.
Yeah, I don't
Ring
know. Tony,
magazine,
yeah, Tony tripping on that shit, man.
the Ring magazine does not recognize him as undisputed.
Does
No
Ring
one recognizes him as undisputed unless you're a George Kambosos fan or a Tio fan.
does he even have the ring belt?
He does have the ring belt, yes.
He does?
Yeah.
I didn't know they issued him a ring belt. George, you
Yeah,
talking about?
the ring belt was on the line
It was, it was
with
lineal
Loma and Tio.
because Loma got it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was on
okay.
the line with Loma and Tio, and then obviously Tio had it, and then George has got it. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, he's really.
Well,
Like ring is funny because like they'll strip it and then you won't see another ring champ. Like something will
No,
happen with it, and then like
yeah,
the guy will be unified, no ring. But I don't think there's a
yeah,
ring champ at 147.
the ring magazine they tend to just randomly put it on the line for maybe one of the biggest fights in the division, even though it's not the big.
Yeah,
It's like, oh well, this is probably number 1 and number 3, or number 1 and number 2. Yeah, we'll throw that belt in there and we'll give it, because I believe like when Josh Taylor fought Prograis, was ring on the line then? I think that was on the line when he fought Prograis.
I don't remember.
Before he fought Ramirez for undisputed. I'm sure it was.
I know
on
he
the line.
is. I know he's a ring. I know Taylor's a ring champion.
Yeah, I need to have a look, but I'm sure he was. It was on the line.
Does Boxer even tell you?
hey, has there ever in the history been a fight or fighter who just held the ring by itself without nothing else?
Yeah, Tyson Fury. Lineal.
Yeah.
All right, he don't count, man. But besides,
Oh no! Hey, why do you think Jack Reese gave him that extra time? He said you're both champions. Hey, yo, you got the championship nod.
I had to do it.
Tyson's the only one.
I mean, no, there's been
There'll have been other. I to be off the top of my head, I can't think. I can't see.
I mean, I'm assuming you mean the modern era when it wasn't like the ring belt. Like, you know, Rocky Balboa was fighting for that ring belt.
There you go.
He was like,
he lost the belt to the fucking what's that dude name? Drago, goddamn. Drago took the ring.
Oh shit! Now, well, before that, Whole Lot of Mo took it. The first one was around Clubber Lang. Let me see. Reagan. Let me see. Sal Alvarez. That fool got to have the Let's see. They say ring belt on here.
No, it doesn't on BoxRec.
No, yeah, they don't tell you. Yeah, you got to go to ring itself. But yeah, man, Kambosos and Kambosos and Haney, whoever wins this whole thing, at this point, it's reminding me of 2018. That's why I brought up the thing. I'm glad you're on here so I can rib you a little bit about it. But this is totally reminding me of that thing, like where you're supposed to take short end of the stick because that's what you said and all this stuff. One face, one name. And yeah, so at this point, I think Team Haney is definitely winning the PR battle, and it's making Kambosos look very suspect. I don't like a
definitely.
At the same time, though, I gotta recognize, you know, from George Kambosos' point of view, he's probably not going to fight at 130 anywhere other than 135. So if he feels if he's got another 7 years of his career, what's the point of being undisputed right now?
Well, I was saying this last night because Tony's view was if Devin Haney doesn't win another fight after this fight, we don't know where he could go. And it's the same to George. For me, as a boxer, like you said, he might not ever fight in a different weight class. So why not just be undisputed now? If you're going to be at this weight class and you're going to be fighting the best fighters at this weight class, then be undisputed. Because
you don't have to fight the best ones next. You already did.
No, you don't. No, if you become undisputed, you've got mandatories. They're
Yeah,
not
I'm
going to
saying,
be the best fighter.
no, I'm saying for George Kambosos, he's not very motivated to even become undisputed. He's probably more motivated to drop one of the belts than he is to become undisputed.
But my thing, I believe the only reason why it's he's not interested in coming undisputed, like you said, is because it's Devin Haney who's holding that belt. Because if it was Loma who's holding the belt, it would be all about undisputed.
Yeah, but he'd fight Loma with no belts. That's the whole point. It's like he just wants to fight Loma. Like Loma, he's
Yeah,
more.
but Loma ain't going nowhere. That's my point. Loma
right.
isn't going anywhere.
Right, and that's another reason why you can go like, oh yeah, I don't need to do this. Loma doesn't even have a title. A Loma title fight is going to be a big affair, and then if Loma has to become undisputed and he has a champ and he has a title too, yeah, gravy, right? I was just kind of like, if you have 7 more years, where do you go from now? Or like, if let's say George Kambosos wins this fight and becomes undisputed, what does he do? Like pay sanctioning fees for 4 different sanctioning fees for 7 years?
No, but he's the guy they have to go through. He's the money. He's now the money fight in that division.
I get it, but he's the money fight in that division, even if he has 2 titles. Like Canelo was the listen.
Nah, he ain't. Nah,
okay, but I'm just saying the Canelo Triple G fight, like when they rematched, Triple G had 3 belts, Canelo had 0, and it was a 65-35 split.
I agree with you, but what did Canelo do in his career?
That's my point. Is that
but George hasn't done that in his career. He's got one.
That's what I'm saying. He's got
one win.
If he's got, but he's got 1 win. He's got a ton of titles. If he, he's got a ton of. So my point is this: if with those titles, right, you still are the guy that people need to see in order to become undisputed. You still have 2 different sanctioning bodies feeding you mandatories, so you have at least one voluntary, 1 mandatory a year, and you can figure out like if you want to fight more often than that, and you can wait on the money fight. You can basically milk that fucking cow for the better part of a decade.
I get what you're saying, but with those 2 belts, you're still not guaranteed a win whoever you fight, because I'm still not sold on George. I'm not sold on George. I ain't sold on him.
I hear you. I'm not out, but like, do you have to get sold on him in his next fight?
No, what I'm saying is, the way you're talking is like George is this guy that's gonna go out there and beat everyone, and then this is the same guy. This is 1 second. This is the same guy who had a split decision against a 30-odd-year-old Mickey Bay. This is the same guy who had a split decision against Lee Selby, who just got knocked the fuck out in 5-6 rounds. This is the same guy that we're talking about as if like he's gonna go out there and beat everybody hands down.
No, I'm saying that he can milk a train. Like they can match him up, and mandatories are generally not like the high. Like,
it's not guaranteed.
It's not like you get Errol Spence mandatories often, right? Like usually it's the Ocampos that you get.
I get what you're saying, but I'm still. This is my point. When you say that, I get exactly what you're saying. Where he'll get, but I'm still. I don't know if I'm sure George Kambosos beats those guys who were like I'm not 100% sure
because I've seen coming up to 35. Oh, I mean, damn, because Shakur would be licking his chops.
Like come on.
Shakur would be licking his chops in a couple of years.
Couple years, Shakur would move up tomorrow.
Let's see. All right, let's look at the guys at 30 and about moving up. Those dudes. Like Tank is not really worried about belts like that, and Kambosos is not really a big money fight.
Well, you don't think Chris Colbert they could get Chris Colbert in that position?
Chris Colbert is done. Like that dude is
but you can't say he's done. He's lost a fight. Like I could understand that he's lost a fight, but you don't think PBC and Al Heyman can get him into a position?
It's not that. Like I've been watching this dude since the amateurs. I've been waiting for this dude to come up for years. It's taking forever for him to get to this point. He's never even had a title shot, and we just saw this dude completely give up in a fight.
Yeah.
And while talking cash shit about everything and everybody in boxing, like he's done.
I was laughing when Ibn Shakur was going out. I was like, you must be crazy if you think you're beating Shakur. I was thinking that then.
Bro,
I was thinking that then when there was going out. I was like, Nah, be up. You ain't beating Shakur. Like Shakur is mustard. Like he's gold standard. That is it. You ain't beating Shakur. And then to see what Shakur actually did to Jamel, when Shakur went in there with Jamel Aaron and did what he did, and Chris Colbert's trying to say, "Oh, I'd have stopped him earlier." You can't punch for shit. Like people call Devin Haney pillow fist.
Listen, nobody questions Devin Haney's heart or his head. Like basically, what Chris Colbert is a good shit talker. He's like a what? He's like the a little bit like O'Hara Davies.
No, don't do it to him. You can't cut. I get the persona. The persona's like that. He ain't no Aaron Davis. You must be mad.
Yeah,
Colbert's
like all
levels.
talk, no show. All talk, no action. I like O'Hara Davies. I'm not lying. These are the guys that disappointed me. Their mouth turned out to be bigger than the talent.
Yeah,
or the talent is their mouth or something. I don't
know. Blair Cobbs. Just look what just happened to him.
Oh,
He
I mean,
talked
Blair
his
Cobbs
shit.
is like, come on, bro, like that. Yeah, that dude is
Although, you know what? You know what? I know we're about clowning Cobbs and we're clowning Colbert, but those are two guys who lost, and immediately in the post-fight interviews, they admitted the better man won that night. And it for me, it's refreshing to see these fighters like those two who are shit talkers. They do talk a lot of shit, but and they have this persona. But to admit and be a man and say, you know what, the better man won tonight. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and do what I need to do. It was good to hear.
So generally, the shit talkers do that. The more recent example, I mean, I guess I don't know. Like the night of is one thing, but Blair Cobbs always seemed like a pretty good guy. Like really, the only guy that like really disappointed me in his responses, like recently that I like a fighter I like is Lomachenko. He just like the build up to Tio fight. I didn't like his trash talk, and what happened after the Tio fight, I haven't liked at all.
No.
Yeah, it was just like dude is king of the photo op. Like shout out to him for fighting for the country and all that shit. But like, that fucking shot of him in the fatigues is right up there with that shot of him in the goddamn show. This shoulder fucked up in bed, right? This dude. Anyway, he makes sure that everybody knows what the hell's going on with him. His IG account is like updated, I guess. But
I won't lie, Tio disappointed me in what he was saying. I don't care what.
He disappointed me a long time ago, though. It wasn't like this isn't new. This was like
you lost the fight, but to turn that, like even now, like it's as if reality still hasn't just come round and slapped this dude around the back of the head and just said, like, listen, what do you mean? Yeah, DAZN set this up. This set me up to lose. Like the amount of excuses him and his dad's come out with for losing that fight is ridiculous. Like I was clowning Wilder's fans for saying the the glove gate and the water thing. Like this is crazy. DAZN set him up. His chest wasn't well. His hand was broken. I don't know what. George Kambosos was fighting dirty.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to make him stop fighting dirty, but so I don't see how DAZN urged Putin to invade Ukraine so that George Kambosos could fight Devin Haney. Like,
and to make it worse, look, let me just finish this. To make it worse, DAZN aren't even involved in the George Kambosos Devin Haney fight.
Yeah. Yeah. They set it up. So, all right. So the most disappointing is not even any of these guys. So this is pretty clownish. So really, if you want to tell me like the most cringe moment was after Devin Haney won a fight, and George and Floyd Mayweather started talking about how he got robbed in the Canelo fight. It was a majority decision, like somebody called it a draw or something.
Yeah, yeah,
About that shit. A fight he won like millions of dollars from doing that shit, and this dude's still bitching about the scorecard in the Canelo fight.
Yeah, he still won the fight.
Yeah, like it's still like it's really fucking cringe. Like,
but Floyd has to talk about the most relevant fighter. He always has to talk about the most relevant fighter. He's done it.
I don't know, man. You're like promoting somebody else's fight. This is somebody else's post-fight talk, and you're taking this moment to say like, yeah, that scorecard in the Canelo fight I had, bullshit. Like, okay.
Floyd's you know what? Floyd was always my favorite boxer. Always my favorite, but the guy, I've got some disdain for the guy right now. I can't deal with him.
Yeah,
interviews with him, I cringe when I listen to interviews with him. He just repeats himself over and over and over. The same thing. He stands in the mirror and rehearses. You can tell he rehearses it because it rolls off the tongue like he rehearses it.
Yeah, bad grammar and all. Like
everything. He just, you know what? You know what I mean? You know, I made smart investments.
See what I've done is. Okay.
I'm fed up. I'm fed up of listening to the same horse shit. What comes out of his mouth. The sooner Tank leaves him, the better.
Who are you talking about?
We're talking about Floyd right now. The point is like disappointing guys, right? It went from Teofimo. We're just talking about a lot of the way that that guys have handled losses, and then it switched to how guys have handled even victories. Just disappointing. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. You have never seen a true horrible winner like you will see if Rolly beats Tank. It will be the most disrespectful champion. Well, not even champion, just victor ever. Like the disrespect and how horrible it's gonna be if he wins. It'll be worse than if he lost. Like I'm telling you. It's going to be bad. The delusions are going to be so great.
I'm not going to be able to not laugh though if that happens, because in my mind that can't happen. So if this happens, it's going to be one of those things. You know, when you see something that it's so unbelievable, all you can do is laugh.
I don't listen. If Tank wins 2.59, 3 minutes of every round, but gets dropped in one of these fucking rounds, it's still horrible. Like even if he comes out with a complete clinic ass whooping, but if Rolly is able to drop the guy, the way we saw Tim Tszyu just get dropped, then yeah, you can forget about it.
Rolly's like, big and dumb, and that's what make that's he's just big and dumb, and I just think he somehow he might land something. Not to beat Tank, but it's just one of those matches that shouldn't be happening, in my opinion. And it's happening, and it has upset Rit all over it because it shouldn't be happening.
The way that Rolly
no, hold on, get this smoke. Never, ever, 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 ever count somebody out that wears a mink coat in 150-degree weather. Let me tell you something. There's something wrong with that person in the head, and when there's something wrong with somebody, they're dangerous.
Tony, really what did I just say? He's big and dumb. Like
dumb. A special type of special. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he is.
The other thing is the look on his face when he throws a punch. He looks like it's like a combination of like he smelled a fart and he's mad about something, and like just the look on his. If he looks like that and hits Gervonta Davis with something that takes Gervonta Davis off of his feet, the internet's gonna break.
How much you betting he rugby tackles Tank at some point in this fight?
That he does what?
He'll rugby tackle.
Oh, I don't think so. Like he's not like that's the thing. Like he's another thing. He's like all mouth and facial expression. Like when he gets into the ring, like I don't know, man. I don't think dude can fight at all.
I'm with you.
So let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Get this smoke. I'm gonna tell you a story about me whenever I was in elementary school. Okay. So look, I happened to be around some friends who were some assholes that were more of assholes than me, and I'm already an asshole, right? And one of my asshole friends that I was with made fun of a kid in the special ed class. So as punishment, the school made us stay with them for 2 weeks, right? On one of them days, my same friend who got us all in trouble made fun of this kid that was special, right? That boy grabbed him and slammed him like the fucking Hulk was slamming Loki. Like he was just beating him back and forth on the ground.
Damn.
The very
They
next
got
day,
mad strength. They got mad
mad
strength.
strength.
Puny
Mad
God.
They
strength.
got
Hold,
mad
hold
strength.
on. Let me tell you something. Get this more. I never backed down from nobody in my whole life. My whole life is a little kid to an adult to my age now, right? However, in that fourth grade, whenever I was at lunch the next day after seeing what that boy did to my friend, he took an apple off my tray and I let him have the apple. I didn't even say nothing. I was like,
I
bro,
didn't.
you can have this.
You
You
don't
can
know
have
how
that
to act
apple.
now. You
So
gonna
the
eat your
special.
cornbread?
So
You got it.
your boys was messing with the special kids, and the
I
special kids
wasn't.
run you out of town.
No, man, I was an innocent bystander. I was by somebody that was. I didn't even do nothing.
Oh God!
But
Nah,
he ate that
for
apple
real,
and I let him have it.
I've seen it. Them special kids, they got special powers. Those special, I don't know where the strength comes from. I have no idea.
I
But
mean, if you're gonna be a born again asshole, now that he's want to fight, then I gotta hang out with dude. I gotta get a new crew now. I gotta keep my asshole now. Hold up, dude, what you doing after school? Like what? How in your life?
yeah,
Let's figure this out.
nah, Rolly was definitely on that yellow bus, that short bus. He was on that bus.
I don't even know if he. I don't know if he even made it to the yellow one. I think it was on the white one.
Nah, but
Yeah.
he's a dum dum that might catch Tank with something. I just know that he's got mad power for someone who can't box whatsoever, and it's not as if his punches are so wide. I don't know, I can see it from England. Like his punches are so wide and stupid and awkward.
Yeah, dude, to me, he can't fight or box, and I don't know who the hell these people are trying to fool. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like like I hear the disappoint. Like I'm not like I don't get disappointed in fighters. I either care or I don't care. I'm starting to get apathetic. Right? Like I was never a Charlo fan. I literally don't care. Like people are like, why are you protecting this dude or that? Like, dude, I don't care about this guy at all. His career, I don't care. Like if he babysits, if he never fights anybody or he fights somebody his next fucking fight, I don't care.
Just be clear which Charlo. I know which one you're
Either
talking
one.
about.
Either one. I never cared about either guy.
Nah,
Like,
I like
I
Mel.
think that both are just like
I don't like the attitude. They're just angry for no reason.
I also don't like the boxing style. Like there's like literally nothing I like about them other than I can break down what some good attributes about what they do in the ring. Like I can look at them objectively, but like you're gonna have to go and beat them. They're not gonna beat themselves. They're gonna show up ready to fight, and they're determined to win. They're gonna go out there and try to get that W. But it's just like the basic shit: rinse, wash, repeat. Like they're like, I don't find it exciting. I don't find their what they have to say entertaining. I don't like the way that they say it. Like whatever. I just don't care. Right? It's not like I hate the dude. Like fuck him. I just don't care. And I just get apathetic. Right? So Tank, I did like the way that he fight. I did like a bunch of stuff about him, but shit like Rolly and Yitzhak Cruz on a Sunday night, like, bro, you're starting to lose me.
It's the pay-per-view thing as well. Like Leonard and Floyd are so obsessed with making a pay. Tank can be a star without being on pay-per-view straight away. For these fights, like these fights are not pay-per-view fights. Why are you putting this guy on pay-per-view? We all know you put Tank on regular TV, the ratings will go through the roof. Because, like Leonard said, it doesn't matter who he fights, people are gonna come and watch. So why not get his ratings up on normal TV, and then when he fights a fighter of worth for pay-per-view, people will be like, "Oh wow, this is a big fight." Now your pay-per-view numbers goes beyond. I don't even know what the Isaac Cruz numbers did.
I don't know, dude. Roland Ramirez reminds me if Tekashi 6ix9ine was a boxer.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I don't fucking care, dude. I don't get it. I don't understand why anybody else is interested in this shit. Like, I totally don't get it.
God. I love that analogy. That is absolutely brilliant. I love that comparison. You just killed me with that one, Spoke.
I'm just sitting here. I've been watching it a long time. This is a guy I really like, and I thought Martinez beat that dude's ass, and Martinez can't do shit to me. Like, that dude is horrible. Like, he's a when I say he's a bubble fighter, I mean, if you guys remember the fights we got when the COVID bubble was happening, those top fights, he's like one of those dudes, like just like straight, regional developing country kind of fighter, like Dominican League or something. I just don't get it.
Ted Cheeseman.
Nah, like Cheese. So here's the thing. Cheese shows up and he's gonna give you everything. His fights are actually kind of exciting because
Cheese's fights are always exciting. I've never seen a bad fight from him.
Yeah, the dude shows up, lunch pail, he leaves it all in the damn ring.
Now what I was saying was the level, he's British level, and that's it. He ain't ever gonna go any further.
No. But so here's the thing about the Brits. It's different, in my opinion, than the Americans, right? Like, you guys, the skill level may not be there, so you guys match it like it's evenly matched. You do parity versus skills. So you'll have two guys in there, like, there won't be the best guys, but they're like kind of evenly matched, and they're both gonna go for it. So it turns out to be a good fight. Like, what we have is a guy who's supremely skilled, and he'll be matched with somebody who can't fucking fight at all. And so it just becomes like showcase fight.
The build up in Britain, it like, for the level they're at, the fighters are at similar level, maybe just a little bit higher than them each time. So by the time they get to world level, it's sort of made up. They've got the experiences to make up for the lack of, well, it's a skill set. We say, I'm not talking about every fighter, but in general, the lack of skill as American fighters. So like you said, it does sort of meet in the middle. The British fighters seem to have they build. It's like a league. It's like your leagues, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and your Premier League is your world stage. And in Britain, we seem to go through that, whereas in America, they seem to go from amateur. Oh, right, this kid was an amateur. He fights nobodies. He's basically fighting amateurs until he's 20-0, and then all of a sudden he's at world level. He's never been tested anywhere else.
And that's the problem with American boxing, and I agree with you there on America versus Britain. However, there's always an exception to the rule, and the exception to the rule for the UK is Campbell Hatton. That motherfucker cannot fight. That is the worst person. Like, I have seen drunk people at a bar that could box better.
Let me tell you this, Tony. Campbell Hatton barely had any amateur fights. He wasn't a great amateur at all. The reason why, for God knows what reason, they decided to put him on a main event show on
several.
Like, it's ridiculous. I feel for Campbell Hatton, because right now he should be at the stage of Southern area where he's fighting on small hall shows. No one really knows who he is, and he builds himself up. His last performance I enjoyed, but that was on, like, I don't even know where that was. His last performance. But you can't put a kid who barely has any amateur fights. He's a pro, and then you're putting him on a main stage, bearing in mind his last name is Hatton. Like, it's not going to happen for him. It really isn't. And I feel for him that he got let down by his whole team, his dad, his promoters, his managers, everyone involved in getting him on that stage did him wrong because they knew he wasn't ready for that stage. His boxing ability is nowhere, not even close to that. I know fighters from where I'm from who should be on even closer stages than that than Campbell Hatton.
So
Yeah, but here's the thing too, though. With Campbell, so here's the thing. You can take a guy with no fighting experience, right? Just say somebody young, whether they're in their teens, early 20s. You can put them in a gym and analyze if they have anything going for them, whether they're fast, whether they can react. They may not be good at boxing, but they have some type of attributes that stick out. The only thing that sticks out for Hatton is he's shit in every category. Like he's got no speed, no power, no agility. Like I'm telling you, like there's nothing there to build off of. He has nothing.
That's how the UK rocks it, man. It's not about athletic ability. There's somebody else. So they have these thing like blue collar fucking matches.
White collar. I've had a couple of
white
those.
collar matches. Man, they just have this whole thing where, like, if you want to scrap, then you can get your scrap on. See, that's what I was just gonna say. Like in America, it's about the gyms and the training and the sparring. So even in your big fights, you might be fighting nobody because you're being developed in your gym. Like your gym may take you to a few gyms around, to get some inter-gym sparring kind of shit going on, or rivalry happening. And so you get a whole bunch of work, but that doesn't necessarily translate to I'm gonna now fight a good guy. So it's just kind of like we develop our guys just like it's just a different way to develop a dude, and you just don't know.
Yeah, but the white collar thing.
Yeah, I'm just let me finish.
Go
up. So we get guys that are really good gym fighters or like gym legends that then like really aren't they don't get the big fights or they're not very good when they go. Like Tony Harrison is like a gym dude, or like J-Rock was like another gym legend kind of dude. Whereas like in their fights, once they get to those fights, they've been through a whole bunch of fucking wars in the gym, and if you touch them the wrong fucking way to go, they fucking disappear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, but the white collar thing. Sorry, I just saw that comment. The white collar thing. It's like an amateur. It's just amateur fights. That's all it is. It's nowhere near pros. Like Fabio Wardley, he comes from that, but that's more so he had, because it's unlicensed. As an amateur, you've got to be licensed and all that. The white collar, because it's unlicensed, you can just like join because it's for charity. Basically, it's charity fighting. You can join up. They match you up to whoever they see fit to match you up with through training. But it doesn't necessarily take you anywhere near to being a pro. You have the odd one or two, and then the rest will probably be, if they can take a shot, will end up being journeymen from doing it. But
we have smokers too.
The culture here is what I can see is changing to where everything as a kid when I was growing up was either football, which is soccer to you, or rugby. It wasn't really boxing or like boxing clubs opening everywhere. Now you go around and near enough every city has boxing clubs. More and more boxing clubs are being, because obviously the Brits since probably 2012, since the Olympics, boxing has been put on the map a lot more in Britain since the Olympics, whereas it's starting to come a bit more of a mainstream sport. We're having it on TV near enough every week, every other week. You've got boxing events on. So it like we're miles behind the US when it comes to that, because in the US, like you say, oh, it's not really a mainstream sport in the US, but in the in the state, in obviously towns or wherever you call it, states, cities, wherever it is, everywhere has boxing clubs. They have boxing gyms everywhere in the US. Everywhere you go in the US, you find a boxing gym. No.
I wouldn't say everywhere, but a lot of cities have boxing gyms. Yes, without a
Yeah,
doubt.
like I haven't been to a city that doesn't have one, but I can imagine like there's a bunch of like America's just really big, so I haven't spent a whole bunch of
Yeah.
time in fucking Montana, right? So I don't know what that looks like, but yeah, like you know, the Benavides has come out of Arizona, and they just went to like some local gym there. It's not like Arizona, some hotbed of fucking boxing.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. Even if it's just a local gym, like here, like in Britain, it's very rare you can go somewhere and say, "Oh, is there a boxing gym around here?" And you'll probably find a boxing gym, but it's probably owned by an ex-fighter or someone. It's not just a little gym in the corner. Yeah, just go to that gym. Like where I live, we've just got one. We've just got a boxing gym. After I think the last time we had a boxing gym, I was maybe 12 years old. And for all that time, we've not had a boxing gym. And all of a sudden, in the last year, we've just got a new boxing gym.
Yeah, there's a boxing gym, like I guess running distance from my house. If I was a boxer, I could like run. Yeah, it'd be a nice little like 5 mile run to the gym.
Yeah. So my point is,
Yeah.
we go on, Tony.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I've got boxing gyms near me, but what I've been seeing, because I hit the road a lot because of my job, I travel a lot. I have been seeing probably within the last 4 to 5 years more and more MMA gyms popping up and boxing gyms starting to like fade away. Like I'm starting to notice that you got like Gracie Jiu Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu gyms and MMA gyms. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to see a
Yeah.
lot of them start to pop up out of nowhere, and a lot of the boxing gyms that you used to see are kind of becoming less of a commodity.
See,
Right.
I had that thing came and went. Like, so the boxing gyms are still there. The UFC thing, the Gracie like blew up when Gracie was fucking around. The Gracie family, we had a bunch of those things, and then they had even after the Gracie gyms went away, they had like the UFC gyms that sprung up in like the strip malls. But even before COVID, I feel like those things were. I feel like those are like more like pre 2015, like the heyday of like the UFC, the MMA gyms, like in California.
I don't know because like they got one called I think it's like Ninth Planet or something like that. Like I've seen them, as I've been going. Like I live in Georgia, but I travel to like from Georgia to Tennessee to South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama. Sometimes I go Mississippi, Louisiana,
Yeah, I'm not
Florida.
out of state for a minute since like maybe 2017, but like I fuck with California. But even since before, but that was since before quarantine. Since quarantine, I haven't even
Right.
done like the rest of California. I've just been in my city. But yeah, like it was a huge thing. Like it was like every gym, like every like little strip mall had their little UFC thing in the corner. Like the UFC gyms were always way more like in its heyday. There's way more UFC gyms than there ever were boxing gyms. But the boxing gyms have always kind of been there. It's the same gyms that were there since before UFC. They're still there. It was like a bunch of the UFC gyms fucking closed down. It's even gone through iterations. Now it's like saying Ninth Planet. It's no longer Gracie or even UFC. Now it's like Ninth Planet.
Yeah, surely the MMA gym, every MMA gym I seem to see, it's all everything is so like high tech, clean. You know what I'm trying to say, like new. Everything is
Yeah.
new. You see a boxing gym and you see bags ripped up. Like those bags probably have been there like 15, 20 years.
So the thing about the UFC, I'll just say it. What's up? Like that I saw in California. I didn't even fuck with the Stockton ones, right? You know, a couple in LA, a couple here in the Bay Area. But the guys, I even knew a guy who fought MMA, and this might even color my opinion of it. But the dudes seem soft as fuck. Like they seem like some strict, like karate class guys that are kind of big and maybe got bullied a little bit, but they have a nice physique to them. But what they universally have these fucking cauliflower ears, and I don't understand like how the fuck, like what's the payoff? Like, do you want to really like have your workout be to the point where you're maimed for your whole fucking life? I don't get it. Like they're never gonna go pro. They're just basically like tumbling around with their homie at the fucking UFC gym, like hoping that somebody's gonna like get into a knife fight in an alley kind of shit. I totally don't get it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, them ears look nasty. But it's not just like UFC. That's more or less like wrestlers. So you see like college wrestlers, NCAAs that have that. That's from grinding your ear against the mat a lot.
Yeah. And I get the thing, but like, so even if, but it's generally like Division I. Like if you're like at the community college and you fucking wrestling with fucking cauliflower ear, bro, you fucking, I don't know. It is what it is. Some people don't give a shit. I just don't. Yeah. Anyway, that's my own little like sidebar rant. Sorry.
Nah, any sport like that, like even rugby here, like rugby, nah, really going down between men's legs and all this, not for me.
Yeah, like just for the Sunday afternoon, like get down, like it's what I do for fun. What?
Nah, it ain't for me. Like I'll stick to boxing. That's it. One of my friends is an MMA fighter, and he keeps saying to me, "You gonna come and train?" I'm like, "No, I'll box when you boxing training. I'll come, but I ain't coming." He's like, "Try just go rolling with me." I'm like, "Nah, I ain't rolling with you. Must be crazy."
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I didn't like MMA at all. Like I went to one of their gyms. It was a pretty big gym. They had pro fighters out of there, and that shit's fucking nasty. Like, first off, I don't want to be that close to another man. Second off, like, it's fucking nasty. Like, you don't understand. Like,
you sweating all over.
No, but it's not just that. It's not just that. It's like, I'm trying to find a way to describe it to you. So, like, it's almost like their bodies make, it's like you got a warm, nasty body on you, right? But it's almost like you can feel the heat from your body going into their body. And it's like you get this cold, weird sensation. It's like, it's fucking, it feels nasty. Then it's wet, like you said, sweaty. Nah, bruh. I don't like that. I don't want to wrestle. Like, that shit feel horrible. And it saps you of your energy. Like, it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. It just, ugh.
Nah. Yeah, it's not no, I've never been interested. I'll watch it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll watch it, but I mainly watch when I do watch UFC MMA. It's mainly for strikers. Like I only enjoy it when they stood up. If they stood up punching and a little bit of kicking, then I'm interested. Apart from that, like when it goes to the ground, wrestling constantly, like I don't want to see you two on the ground.
Yeah, I don't. You know what, dude? I'm gonna wade into this little like conflict between UFC and boxing for a minute. I don't understand how guys who are UFC fans bitch about clinching in boxing. Like I don't understand shit at all. One, like they break it up and they make you you can clinch your way to it. You can top position is how you win a fight in the fucking UFC. Just like how long you're on top of somebody.
And doing nothing, just laying on them.
Yeah, like, and you got huh? What? Anyway, I don't understand the new rules of UFC. I don't think the guys in the UFC today were as good as the guys in the UFC 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't know.
But smoke, it's worse than that. Like, you can literally be on your feet for 4 minutes and 30 seconds beating somebody's ass. And at the end of the round, for the last 30 seconds, if they lay on you, you just lost the round. You just lost.
I don't understand how they are. You're right, Smoke, because some of my best friends are MMA fans. And when we're watching boxing, they're the first to complain about clinching. What's he holding him for? Why did you just punch? I'm like, God damn. You
Bro.
literally watch a sport where they just sit on each they literally just lay on each other on the floor. And you're gonna complain about two guys clinching for maybe 2 seconds.
And they're rewarded for it. Like, forget the fact that they're laying on each other. That's how you win a fight. Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck is going on?
in boxing, you get punished for it. Really, you get punished for it if you do too much clinching.
Yeah, point taken.
Yeah, you get punished for it if it's too much, if it's excessive.
All right,
But not,
gentlemen, I got to go to the grocery store. It's been great chopping it up with you.
yeah, smoke.
Yeah, I haven't fucking spoken to you in so long. Like, what?
Yeah, it's been a while. Probably before COVID.
Now it's since Gonzalo's thing.
Gonzalez. Oh yeah. It was.
Peloton.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was there. God
So,
damn, that was maybe a year. Oh,
it's coming
yeah.
on. I don't.
Yeah, coming up to a
it's
year.
been over a year. Damn.
Yeah, it's been about a year.
Yeah, because that was before my 50th, and I turned 51 already.
Yeah, you did.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But Tony, yeah, man, I don't know if I've ever jumped on one of your lives. But yeah, this was actually very pleasant. Sorry you had technical difficulties, so you're even around for your whole fucking life. But
hey, you held it down for me. I didn't even need to be on here.
yeah, geez, who'da thunk, right? But yeah, until next time, I'm glad I caught you live because I generally see you on playback and your after fight analysis kind of shit. But yeah, we are all actually. I've met both of you guys. I think we all met each other on D Jeff. So shout out.
We have. Yeah.
Shout
out to D. How is D? I've not seen D around for a while.
I'm not sure. You know what? I'm gonna call him on my way to the grocery store. Yeah, peace to the chat. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, peace out, Smoke.
Troublemaker, I have to disagree. You do win a fight for laying on somebody. Like I just watched Clarissa Shields lose an MMA match because she beat up a girl for like 3 minutes and got laid on twice in 2 minutes, and because she lost that second round because she got laid on and the other girl did absolutely nothing, she lost the fight. So I would have to say, Troublemaker, that yes, if you lay on top of somebody and fill on their booty, you win. Like, that's it. You just won the match.
Nah, you know what? It's as simplistic as all I need because I don't know anything about MMA. When it comes to how the scoring system confuses the hell out of me. It confuses I don't understand how they score fights. Like, you can drop a guy with a punch or a kick, and that still doesn't really count. If he gets up and dominates you on the ground, or I say get up, if you then try to mount him and he turns you, and you're on top of him, you're in top position. You dominated the round. I don't understand the scoring system in UFC and in MMA. I don't try to be honest with you. I'm only interested in like when the big names are fighting, I'll watch. That's about it.
I haven't watched UFC since Masvidal got knocked out by one punch.
Usman?
Yeah, Usman knocked him out of the rematch.
Yeah.
Masvidal talked all that shit, talking about, oh, you won't stand up with me, you won't stand up, and then he gets knocked out.
I saw the replay. I didn't even watch that fight. I saw the replay of him getting knocked out. I can't remember the last UFC fight I actually watched. I generally can't remember the last one I watched. I always see like the highlights.
Right.
But that's about it. I can't stay up and watch UFC because obviously I'm in England, so it's on late. Like it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll stay up for boxing if it's a good fight. But I'm not staying up for UFC to watch that bullshit. 5 o'clock in the morning, watch that.
My problem is I don't have fun watching UFC. I get a lot of anxiety because they're so bad at throwing punches that it drives me ape shit insane, and I don't understand how these are professional fighters. Like, I literally will watch them throw hooks from 10 feet away thinking that they're going to land. Like, the shit, I don't understand Like the shit that I see doesn't make sense. I've seen him throw uppercuts from like 3 feet away. Like who the fuck are you throwing this at? Where's the timing? Where's the touch? Where's the range? Like I
and
don't know.
that's why the only time I enjoy it is when you've got good stand-up fighters who actually has range. Even Connor, like people like Connor can't box, but in the UFC, he's an amazing boxer in the UFC because he actually has timing. He has
Who's
time and
that?
he has
Say that again.
speed. Conor McGregor.
No. What fighter? McGregor.
Conor McGregor. Yeah. He has, yeah, but
I don't
what I'm
know about
saying is
that. Like,
he's not a great boxer, but in the octagon, he actually looks good because those guys are so bad at stand up that
yes,
his
yes,
timing and his speed actually looks impressive in that setting.
and his power. I am right there
Yeah,
with you.
and his power,
One
yeah,
hundred and 10%. Yeah.
yeah,
He is bad, but they are so much worse they make him look good. I agree. I
exactly,
agree with you. And
exactly that.
that's my point. Like whenever
But
I
there's
watched Conor fight Mayweather, he threw so many jabs that just
oh,
barely grazed the nose of Mayweather. Like it was horrible.
you don't even understand. I watched that fight at my house with 5 MMA fans who all swore I had £50 each with them, each of them, that Mayweather would win. And there's like, nah, Connor's gonna knock him out. Connor, I was just like, how do you expect this guy to beat Mayweather? I don't understand. There's been 48 people, boxers, and these are world level boxers, cannot beat him. You expect this guy to beat him? And nah, he's gonna knock him out. He touches him, thingy, he's hitting, and I'm like, okay, we'll see. Bet.
And
And
then
we
he
watched
touched
that at my
Mayweather.
house. He touched Mayweather, and Mayweather went nowhere, and they was like, "Oh, that was a good shot." That was the only time they were celebrating in my house. Every round, they were quiet as church mouse. They were quiet as a church mouse every round. Conor lands this one punch. They're up on the feet, jumping about. Oh my God, he's got him. He's got him. And I'm like, no, I'm sat there calm. Every round, I sat there calm going, Mayweather round. Mayweather round.
Hmm.
And there's this like, nah, he's gonna get him, he's gonna get him, he's gonna get him. And I was okay. Then when Mayweather stopped him, I just stood up, went in the kitchen, got a drink, came back and goes, I told you so.
Well, here's the other thing too. What really surprised me about that not a lot of people focus on. When Conor and Mayweather got in the clinch,
Mm.
Mayweather looked stronger. He was moving
Yep.
him. And I
Hmm.
expected Conor to be able to dominate in the clinch and get in some dirty boxing, hold him and hit him. And he was weaker than Mayweather. Like Mayweather was moving him around the ring. And that caught me by surprise. Like I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not even convinced that McGregor could beat him in a cage. Like I don't know if he could get him to the ground.
Well, Connor's not good on the ground. That's the thing.
But
Everybody
that's
keeps
the
going
only
on
chance
about
he would have.
yeah, but this is the thing. All the MMA fans like, I bet he won't get in the cage with him. I bet he wouldn't get. What's he gonna do? What he's gonna kick? That's that's the only advantage he has on him is kicking. And Connor doesn't really kick that much.
Right.
Connor doesn't kick that much. He does the low calf kick, but he doesn't. He's not really. He does like the extravagant, like tries to do these head kicks and stuff like that. But Connor doesn't really kick. Connor's
Well,
useless on the ground. He's no good on the ground because he gets stopped every time he goes to the ground. Every time he
Connor.
goes to the ground, he gets stopped just about.
Well, think about
So
this. Think about this to touch on what you just said about the kicking. Connor doesn't kick a lot, and he doesn't know how to kick, and that's why he broke his shin in half
yep,
whenever he was fighting that one dude. Like because he threw an improper kick. Like he kicked so little that he don't even know how to throw kicks, and he
yeah.
broke his leg doing it.
And Connor would play into Mayweather's hands anyway in that fight. He tried to knock him out with smaller gloves. That's what he'd try to do. He would try to go for a highlight knockout with smaller gloves. And that would be to his detriment because Mayweather's timing, I don't care what age he's at, his timing is so superior to Conor McGregor's. It's unbelievable. Don't care
Yeah, but
what age he would be at, his timing would still be better. I think Floyd Mayweather Senior's timing would still catch Conor McGregor now. I'm not
no,
this.
no, no, not senior. You went too far with that.
Hey, what you don't hear the sound effect?
Yep, he would be talking to him while he's beating him up too.
Oh God, nah, but yeah, but as for Mayweather, he was my favorite fighter. But the guy, I have disdain for the guy now. I just can't stand anything he says, anything he has to say, anything he does. It's all cringe to me right now.
Uh,
He seems to be a guy that can't let go of the limelight. He can't gracefully pass the torch on to anyone. And
well, I agree. I agree with you, but I think like with him, his biggest issue is Canelo, and
Mhm.
people always bring up Canelo, and I'm not Mayweather. I can't speak for him, but I kind of feel like the sentiment that I get when he talks is everybody boosts up what Canelo's doing, but it's kind of like the way he talks, he feels like nobody gives him credit for beating Canelo. Like y'all are talking about this dude's this killer, this and that, but I beat him. Where's
Yeah,
my
but
credit?
this is what I mean. Floyd gets credit for Canelo. The thing is, if Floyd is thinking like that, I don't understand how you can think like that as a guy he is. Surely you would think they're boosting this guy up. Oh, brilliant! Yeah, he's amazing. He's unbelievable. Who beat him? Floyd Mayweather. You have to be of an elite level to beat Canelo. To have had to beat Canelo.
Right.
So I don't understand why he's down, but I still don't understand it to this day when fighters do this to their opponent. Oh, you ain't shit, you ain't shit, you ain't shit. But then when fans say that you're not fighting nobody, you want to argue. When fans say, "Oh, why you fight? Why is this guy fighting this guy? He shouldn't be fighting this guy." You're only helping the fans' argument by calling this guy a bum and calling this guy useless. And I know it's trash talk, but it all goes into one where if you're slating the guy you're fighting, how do you expect me to be excited about this fight?
Well, it's not just that, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna get off. But
Yeah.
I brought this up earlier. We get this smoke. Like you have all these people that are now saying that Kambosos got lucky. He caught T.O. when T.O. wasn't 100%, even though I don't believe it. And that's
No.
the only reason why he won. That's the only reason why he's good is because he caught the worst T.O. he could have caught, right? Well, here's the problem with that. When you down this fighter so much and you're boosting up the other guy, say Devin
Mhm.
Haney, and you're making him seem like an all-star, if Kambosos is that bad and he beats the shit out of your guy, then what does that say about the guy that you like? He's
Yeah.
even that much worse.
Yeah. I had this I had some sort of conversation and I said to like we were going through it yesterday. My part on when you were saying Devin Haney could go on and lose every fight, and we don't know you know what your take on it was. And my take on it is, if George doesn't take undisputed, and Smoke was saying, well, he could just drop the belt or what, so many belts, and I said, but he's not guaranteed to win his next fight. Even if he doesn't fight a Lomachenko or a Devin Haney, he's not guaranteed to win his next fight, and you're passing up an opportunity for undisputed for what reason? Like sometimes those opportunities only come round once. They may only come round once because you don't know who's coming. Shakur Stevenson is at 130 right now. Soon he will be at 135. You think you're going to beat Shakur Stevenson?
I
Who?
mean, I don't know. I don't know. The thing about Shakur is I've always said from the beginning, way before he got all the hype. Now you'd have to go back and see
Mm,
my videos from like years ago. From the first time I saw him fight, I said I think this is going to be the closest that we get to the next Mayweather. Made that
Yeah,
statement from
I
the
believe
jump.
he's gold standard. I've said that earlier to Smoke. That Shakur is gold standard.
But here's the thing though, and here's my only counter to that statement.
Mm.
There's only one Mayweather, okay? He went 5 weight classes. There's only
Mm-hmm.
one Manny Pacquiao. He went 8 weight classes.
That's
Every
true.
time, no matter how talented these guys are, every time they go up, they lose an advantage. They lose some type of advantage that they had where they started at. Now,
But
Shakur looks amazing, but it's like Lomachenko. Lomachenko had the Matrix, right? But whenever he moved up to 135, his 3rd weight class, he started to look more human. He
I
started to look not as good. And the thing is, eventually, physics takes over your ability.
I agree
So,
with that. I agree
go ahead.
with that. But we've also got to look at age and prime. We've got to look at age and prime because Shakur at this is his 3rd weight class, right? Or second? His second?
Second, second.
His
When he
second.
goes up, it'll be his third.
Yeah, he's second at 130,
Yeah,
and he's only what 24 years old.
24.
24 years old.
Yeah,
He's
he's
second
the
at 130. By
he's the
the yeah, go on. Sorry,
I, yeah. I was just gonna say he's the second youngest champion behind Haney.
Haney. Yeah. So by the age of we're talking, he's he's at that level where he's going to be fighting unifications within two to three fights of being in a division, which allows him to be in that division, capture titles, unify titles, and as he's still growing, will be able to move up in weight without having to stay at a weight to do stuff. He had already accomplished stuff in this weight. It's like 126. He's already accomplished a world title at 126. So he doesn't really have
Right.
to stay there. He can go up to 130 and get a title, which is what he did. Now he's unifying. He's on the route to unifying that. Which once he does that, in my opinion, he'll probably just move up again because there'll be a bigger fight at 135 than there is at 130. To instead of staying at 130 to maybe unify again or get another belt, but then the bigger fight will be at 135, no doubt, because he's fighting the biggest fighter at 130 right now.
Right. But think about it like this. And Devin Haney was the topic earlier, and I'll bring him up, okay, as the example. But what you've got to look at is, and I don't know how England is structured with sports, but in America, right? You start off in elementary school. That's grades 1 through 5. Then you go to middle
Mm-hmm.
school, 6 through 8. You go to high school, 9 through 12. You go to college. Then, if you're fortunate enough, good enough, you'll go professional, right?
Yeah.
Every weight class that these guys go up is like they go from one level to another. So it's like they're going from elementary to middle. Middle's
Yeah.
harder than elementary. You could have a guy. There's been several times to where you have people in high school who are all states, meaning they're the best guy in their state. They go to college. Once they get to that next level, the
Mm-hmm.
bigger level, they're not shit.
I agree
So
with you.
my point is this, like Devin Haney, to use him as an example to solidify this, to make it a little more easier for people to understand what I'm saying. Not saying you, but other people listening.
Yeah.
Devin Haney at 135 is probably the biggest guy at 135. But when he goes up to 147, he's now one of the average guys. He's not big. He's not that tall. At 147, you can have guys all the way up to 6 feet tall. That means that they're going to take away his advantage of being the bigger man. He's now going to become the smaller man. He's also going to become the shorter man. He's also going to lose his range where he's no longer the longer man. So now where he had all those advantages of height, length, with the speed, now you're taking away the height. Now you're taking away the reach. Now he's got to get in close. What happens if he's not faster than these guys that are taller, longer than him, and he has no power to go with it? He's technically great, but he may not be great going up. And the
I
same could
agree.
happen to Shakur.
Yeah, I agree with you, but us knowing boxing, we know what fighters are up in those weight classes. And there isn't much fighters up there that's a lot bigger than him, that's a lot taller than him, that's a lot longer than him. You have Josh Taylor, who's going to be moving up to 147, which he's not going to be there. Regis Progress is still little. He's smaller than Devin. By the time Devin gets up there, we know Devin's draining himself to get down to 135 because he's a big 135. So by the time the fighters who were there and at that world level and elite level will say, there isn't many fighters up there that are bigger, longer than Devin.
Most
There isn't.
most of the guys nowadays at 147 on average are 5'9", which
No,
ain't
yeah,
it.
I'm not talking about 147. I'm saying 140.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like 140 is just a speed bump. He'll go to
Yeah,
140. He'll go to 140 and then go up to
he will. But
147.
by the time he gets to 147, it's gonna be the similar fighters from 140. There isn't gonna be many. Boots ain't gonna be at 147 when Devin gets there.
No, but
Boots is.
who will
But
be are guys like Connor Ben, like
Conor
David
Ben's not bigger than
Avenesian.
him though. But you've also got to.
I
You've
thought
got.
Connor Ben was 5'9".
Yeah, he's around the same height as Devin.
Right,
But
right, but
what
that's
I'm
what I'm
saying,
saying. But
what I'm saying also, by the time that Conor Ben's now 25, 26, something like that, he's going to be. But those fights at that time, because I believe Devin doesn't go higher than 147. I think that 147 is going to be, where he ends. That's where his career will be his last weight. He might do a 154 fight, 152 catch weight or something like that. But I think 147 will be the last division he actually campaigns at elite level. And by the time you get up to 147 and Conor Ben is there, it's worth it because Conor Ben, if he's still at that level and he does what he will, he's going to be a superstar. There's a Super Bowl.
yeah, but like my point is this to come back. Lomachenko, when he first started, before he went up to 135, okay,
Mm-hmm.
he's already short, but he wasn't that short. He was more
Yeah,
on the bigger side. Now
yeah.
that he's going up to 135, his third weight class,
Oh yeah, he's tiny.
he's extremely outsized.
Mm-hmm.
So where he could used to fight on the outside, like how he fought Rigondeaux, could
Yep.
box him, outbox him from the outside. He can't do that up here. He has
Nope.
to be a mid-range fighter, to close-range fighter, and try to use his footwork to maneuver because he can no longer fight from range. My point is, Devin Haney, at this current weight class, at 135, he can fight from the outside. But
Yeah.
as he goes up, he'll no longer be able to do that because where he's reaching, they're either going to be the same length so they could touch him too, or they're going to be longer than him to not where he's got to come in like Lomachenko does. And the biggest thing with him is he's got no power.
I get that, but it's styles. Devin Haney's style, he's never going to be the guy that comes to them. Whoever fights him will ultimately have to be the one that comes to him. Devin Haney's fighting style all comes off the jab. He's a counter puncher who uses his jab constantly. Everything is a jab, and then he'll throw a little right hand in there. He's not a what's it called? I've gone thingy. He's not a fighter that throws combination after combination. He doesn't. He's very conservative with his punches. So how he fights, and he is a back foot fighter, and he will have guys coming to him. I understand what you're saying, that these guys
But,
might be longer.
but let me give you an example. Okay, let's just use Boots. How tall is Boots? 5'11"?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I
Both
think
6
he's
foot.
5'11". Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's 5'11". So he's got him by 2 inches in height, and we would have to
Mm-hmm.
look up to see how much he's got him in reach. So my point is this: you say every guy's got to come to him, but the problem is when somebody's bigger and longer than you and taller on top of it, so now they have body lean with the length of the arms. They don't
I,
really have to come to you. As
I
you're
get what you're
backing up,
saying.
you're out of range, but I mean, you're you're putting yourself out of your own range while they can still hit you.
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, but that's all without context of who's going to be in the division when he's in that division.
I just,
Uh,
I look. He may go to 140 and get power overnight, and it could be he was starving himself and he's been weight drained the whole time,
I
but he's
don't
got
think
no
he's ever
power.
going to have that sort of power where he knocks people out. But I believe he will have respectable power where people ain't going to just come in and try and jump on him.
Well,
I believe.
here's the thing though. At his current weight at 135, he doesn't have respectable power. Like he,
Um,
he
I don't
really
know
doesn't.
because I ain't seen nobody.
I'm telling you,
Jojo wasn't just running in and throwing punches.
well, JoJo kept coming forward and running into
He
all the
kept,
punches. He just couldn't catch them.
but this is
He
my
couldn't
point.
catch
Like
them.
he kept coming forward, but he was running into a punch.
Right, right. But my
He,
point is, the punches he was running into wasn't slowing down his momentum. He just couldn't cut off the ring. It's not like he was getting stopped in his tracks or getting diverted into a different direction. He kept coming. It's just that he just didn't have the stature, the attributes needed to catch Haney. What
I get
my,
you,
my
but
biggest thing is this. My biggest thing is this. This next fight with George Kambosos is going to tell you everything you need to know about Devin Haney because
I agree. I agree.
I believe if Haney is not significantly faster than Kambosos, if he is not, he's going to get knocked out. He is
I
going to
disagree
get
with that
knocked
though.
out.
I disagree with the
You
faster
could.
thing. I disagree with that because Haney's timing will 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 totally
It, it,
diffuse any speed what George think he has. We've got to remember. I get it. It does.
no,
Tony,
but
you know,
listen,
timing beats
no.
speed.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying timing doesn't beat speed. But here's what I'm thinking in the back of my mind as you're saying this. In my opinion, the guy with the best timing at 135 was Teofimo Lopez. Better timing than Devin Haney, in my opinion. That's how he set up all his knockouts, was off pure
Mm,
timing. He's
mm,
got slow feet. He's got slow feet. The only thing that Tio's good with is reaction. He's got slow hands, but he's very
yeah.
quick to react when a
He's
punch
got
is
good
coming at
twitch
him.
muscles. He's got good twitch muscles. Twitch reaction. Tio has got, but I don't
But
think Tio's timing's better than
I
Devin's.
think Tio's is way better than Haney's. And the thing is, Kambosos navigated through that timing with very little issues other than being dropped once. And a lot of that had to do with Kambosos got a second wind. He looked like before he got dropped that he was starting to get tired. He looked like he was slowing down, like the speed, the intensity that he started with, like he threw too many shots and he was just slowing down. And then he caught a second wind after being knocked down and kind of woke him back up. But he navigated that great timing with little to no damage taken until the knockdown. And I don't think Haney has better timing. And if Kambosos can navigate Tio's timing, who's a lot bigger, a lot stronger, with the better timing, I don't see Haney's timing being an issue.
I agree, but Tio didn't rely on timing in this fight for some reason. His boxing style, I don't know what the hell he was doing, and Kambosos capitalized on every single thing he tried to do. And when he did try to go back to boxing, it was too late. It was too late. He was too far gone to go back to boxing. You've got also Haney's and Tio's style of fighting is totally different.
They are.
It's totally different. So the timing, how they get the timing is totally different as well. How George could get round Tio's timing isn't the same way he's going to be able to get round Devin's timing.
But here's the problem. Who has Devin Haney fought stylistically that's anything close to Kambosos?
I don't know. I can't say.
Nobody. And here's the problem that I see.
Mm-hmm.
You've got two people that fight very similar. I'm not saying they're as good, but you got Shelby, who's a back-footed fighter, who came up in weight, so that means normally smaller guys have a speed advantage. And Kambosos, caught him, beat him in his own backyard of England. Okay, that was one speed fighter that fought on the back foot and did a lot of body movement. Probably, I would
Yeah.
say Shelby does a lot of bobbing and weaving.
Devin doesn't bob
hold
and
on, hold on,
weave
hold
though
on, hold
like
on.
that.
I
Yeah, go
know
on.
he doesn't. He doesn't bob and weave like Shelby does, which means he's more straight up and down. I'm not saying he's an easier target to hit, but a target that moves away from you and goes side to side is normally harder to hit. On top of that, Mickey Bay, he trains with Devin Haney. He's one of Devin Haney's trainers. Kambosos beat him easily. And he's just like Haney. Fights on the back foot, speed fighter. The thing that I'm seeing is been there, done that, seen that, ready for it. Haney is going to have to learn and adapt to this style that he's never been around before in the ring. And Kambosos has already beat two ex-champions that have the same similar style.
They have similar style, but they Mickey Bay's little for a starter. So how his style and Devin's style, the style might be similar, but Mickey Bay's little using that style. We both know that. Mickey Bay's about 5'6".
I got you.
But
I got
also Lee Selby is a back foot fighter, but Lee Selby he's a back foot fighter who's constantly on the move, like constantly. His feet are quite quick, and he's constantly on the move. Devin doesn't do that much movement. It's a sort of like, obviously not to say, it's just inch by inch movement what Devin does. He inches, where he gets fighters to fall in, and he can counter them. I get what you're saying, that Kambosos is for fighters of that sort of thing, but it's different. It's different.
I got you. I got you. It's different. I've got you that inches are miles in boxing. I've got you that little movements is conservation of energy, which means that you'll last to the later rounds as well. I've got you. But what I'm saying is, hold on, my phone's dying. While they are not identical, while they are not carbon copies, they are similar. And experience is the name of the game in boxing. That's how a 40-year-old Mayweather could still beat ex and current world champions. It's experience. It builds you. You get wiser. You get savvy off of who you fought, and it just builds to you. I'm just looking at Kambosos and Haney are very similar in height. They're very similar in length. They're very similar to the eye in speed. What they're not similar in is power. Clearly, Kambosos hits a hell of a lot harder than Haney.
I can't disagree with it. I can disagree with a hell of a lot, because who's Kambosos dropped apart from Teal?
Well, he's got several knockouts.
To be fair, he dropped Mickey Bay, touched the canvas with his glove, I guess.
Right, but the thing is, those were guys who were running from him the whole fight too. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is with Haney, right? And the difference with Kambosos is a fast guy who's been hit. He'll trade combinations with all like, if you watch him from his first fight to Tio, even with Tio, he got in there, even though he was navigating him to where he would get caught, and he's like, nah, I'm not going to let this happen. And he started trading combinations with Tio, right? That's something that you don't see a lot of speed fighters do. Most speed fighters rely on their speed not to get touched. So when they finally start getting touched a lot and they can't get away from it, their chins normally don't hold up because they're not used to it. It's something that is alien to them. That is why you see so many guys who are so fast, when they start to lose speed, they're never the same fighter that they once was. The best of all of them that I brought up on the other panel is Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. was so fucking fast, so reactionary, nobody could touch him. The minute he
Yeah,
started
but
going up in weight, down in weight, slowed down, his chin got touched, he folded. I don't think Haney is prepared as a lot of his fans, probably including yourself, and he thinks he is for this fight. I think he is really lacking what he needs. He's really lacking a guy who's been on a similar level as him to prepare him for what he's about to be against. And I think that inexperience is really going to show, and he is going. I believe he's going to break down. He's physically going to break down. I don't think mentally he's going to give up. I think he's too strong for that. But I think when the chisel starts hitting the mountain, eventually it's going to crumble. Are you still there? If I lost you, I'm going to end the stream here because my
yeah,
phone.
I'm here. Sorry, I
Okay,
was.
I was waiting. Yeah, I was waiting for you to respond because I'm at
No,
90
no, no.
percent battery.
I was actually talking, but I didn't realize I was right. Yeah, I disagree with that. I think uh, Devin Haney, how he fights is calculated. So to say just speed is going to beat him, I disagree with that because even if George is faster than him, Devin Haney is also fast, and this is also George ain't going to come in there and do the same thing every round, and Devin Haney's not going to adjust. That this Devin Haney's ring IQ is very high, and to think that if George gets something off, that Devin doesn't adjust. Devin got hit with one shot by Linares. Linares never managed to touch him with it again.
Linares
Yeah,
is
I
old.
understand you. Linares
Old.
is
Hold on, hold
old.
on. It was no. It's not even the old factor that makes it bad. When you're old and you're removed from the ring for a very long time, your reaction time slows down immensely. It is much worse for an old person to be inactive than it is somebody young.
I
That's
agree.
what you had. You
I
saw
don't disagree with that.
Linares couldn't even pull the trigger. He could not pull the trigger against Haney, so Haney stood there, came forward, and beat him to the punch all night long. Now, what's concerning is the one punch that Linares could get off had Haney holding on to him like a baby to his mother for 2 rounds straight.
But we
That's
all know,
concerning.
Tony, we all know power's the last thing to go. Linares has proven to be a puncher. I don't care
Right,
if he
but that's
didn't
not
throw
my
it,
point.
but
That's
that
not my
is your point.
point.
Your
No.
point.
No.
What?
My point is
Go
this.
on.
My point is him not getting hurt. My point is he had 2 rounds after that he latched on like a baby to his mother, sucking on
Hmm.
the teat. He
And what
could
else
not.
was he supposed to do though?
But listen to what I'm telling you. Against a guy like George Kambosos or anybody that is a peer to him, not a senior citizen to him, he's not going to be able to have that luxury of being able to hold on. If he reacts that same way against any of these guys, he's going to get his brains beat in.
But
And
this is
go
my
ahead.
point. This is my point. Does George have the power of Linares? He doesn't. George
We
don't
don't
have that
know.
power of
I
Linares.
don't know. I don't
George
know.
does not have the power of Linares. He ain't
I
got that
don't know.
Linares power.
I don't
Uh,
know.
I,
I don't
I,
know.
I, I don't. George has what 10 knockouts. He doesn't have. If George has the power of Linares, the fighters he's been fighting, and Mickey Bay off of a 3-year layoff, and he beat the brakes off of it, he should be stopping. Lee Selby, who's just been stopped in 5 or 6 rounds by some, I don't know, some Argentinian, he should be stopping. If you have that power, because he was putting pause on those guys, right? If you have that power, you stop those guys. And he didn't. He doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the power of Linares. So I understand what he's saying. If Devin gets touched and he reacts like that, but he ain't. Is he going to react like that off a shot off Kambosos? No, because he didn't get dropped by the shot from
How
Linares.
many fights have you watched by Kambosos? Like legitimate. Before I made my TO breakdown, I watched every single fight that I could watch that's available of him.
No,
That's how
I've
I
not
knew he
watched
was
every
going to
single.
be TO.
I've watched the Mickey Bay, Lee
Okay,
Selby deal.
right.
That's the three I've watched.
Okay. What I need you to do is go actually watch some fights from him, because while you're talking about his power, you need to understand that yes, he does not have as many knockouts as Linares, but what you need to also understand is a lot of his fights, he's hurt the guys and they've gone into flight mode, which has really negated the knockouts. So
Okay, so
it's
but
harder,
that
but listen, it's harder to knock people out that are constantly moving away from you the whole
but
time.
that this is my point. You've just proven my point. If you go on flight mode and then
Right.
you can't knock me out, what did Devin do when Linares hurt him? Not flight mode?
When Linares hurt him, he didn't go into flight mode. He walked towards him, hugging him.
Well, do you not think that if somehow George hurts him, and bearing in mind these fights, what I'm going to go watch, Devin Haney, Bill Haney, his team, Mickey Bay, everyone will know if he hurts you, get away from him. He can't cut off the ring to find you. He can't stop you.
Okay,
Recover.
so that
So
sounds nice, but here's the problem with what you're saying. No. Listen, that
now I'm
sounds
listening.
nice. No. It sounds nice. It sounds good in theory, but here's the reality. It doesn't work like that. Look at Deontay Wilder. Whenever he fought Tyson Fury in that trilogy, he started off with good jabs to the body, throwing jabs up high. No, just listen. He tried to mix it up. He tried to. The minute he was hurt for the first time, stung, he reverted back to what he knew. Here's the problem. When you
Mm,
back somebody into a corner, they're going to react off of instincts. It's just
mhm.
instinctually it's going to take over. If Devin Haney gets hurt, it's not going to be, oh, we've been training for me to be on the back foot, because they're not putting him to the point of being knocked out in training camp. Nobody is saying, Devin Haney, stand still so I can punch the shit out of you till you're hurt, not try to get away. It's not happening. So if he gets hurt, I can guarantee you he's going to react the same. He's going to do what his natural instincts tell him to do. Grab. Go out and grab, and he doesn't do it against Linares. He didn't do it in a smart fashion. He didn't do it trying to work in off the jab. He didn't do it trying to step to the side off the angle. He
I
didn't do it bobbing and weaving. He
mhm.
literally walked to him with his hands out like he was greeting him with a hug. If he does that against Kambosos, he's going to be on the mat. I promise
The-
you.
my thing is, Kambosos has not got that power to put Devin Haney in that position. He's not. He's not got the power to put Devin Haney in that position. Linares caught Haney while Haney had finished a combination and sat there and just waited. He stayed 1 second too long, and Linares planted the perfect shot on his chin. The perfect shot. Bearing in mind, Linares dropped Lomachenko, dropped Luke Campbell, dropped these fighters with lesser shots than that, in my opinion. Shots that wasn't as clean as what Devin Haney took. So for me, Devin Haney already proved that he can hold a shot. His reaction to it wasn't great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning his
That's the
reactions to that.
problem. That's the
His
problem.
reactions wasn't great, but he did not get dropped from the shot. So it's
It's,
going to take a lot for George to, unless it's
it's
accumulation against the
not.
rope.
It's not. That's the problem. Look, I would rather have somebody who gets dropped and gets up and knows how to defend himself properly and then regains his composure to win a fight than having
Mhm.
somebody who gets rocked and has no fucking idea how to react. Because Haney was fortunate that he was against a guy who had ring rust. He was like the fucking Tin Man if you put the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz underneath the ocean for 20 years. The dude was flaking off rust all over the ring. Like, if you have a guy who is active and he reacts like that, He is. I don't give a fuck how good his chin is. If he reacts like that against an active fighter who is young, he is going to be put down, and he's not going to come back from that put down, because if he gets up, he's going to be put right back down.
But that's if. That's if. We're talking if.
I don't think in this fight it's if. I think it's a question of when.
Nah, it's if. We're talking ifs. We are talking ifs.
It's when. He's
That's
going to get
if.
caught. He's going to get caught.
Devin doesn't take right. Name me a fight Devin takes risk like that. The only reason why Devin took the risk in that fight is because he was beating the brakes off of Linares, and he was like, you know what, I can stay in here and get a stoppage. And he's tried to stay. Devin Haney hasn't made that mistake since, and I don't believe he will make that mistake again.
Name one speed fighter he's ever fought. His entire beginning career was fighting guys in Mexico who were paid to lose.
But he was also 17 years old.
That's okay. But name me a speed fighter he has fought.
I don't know, Gamboa.
Gamboa was a speed fighter when he fought him. Gamboa coming off a torn Achilles tendon.
I'm playing. No, but you talk speed. We keep going back to the speed.
No, because there is a problem. There is a problem.
No, but you're acting like Devin Haney hasn't sparred speed fighters.
You keep saying that he has great timing, right?
He does.
Okay, look, you could have great timing at hitting home runs with a baseball bat if the ball's coming at you every time 20 miles per hour. But when that ball's coming 110 miles per hour from the pitcher's mound, your timing is not the same. It changes.
I get what you're saying, but it feels to me that you're literally giving Devin zero chance of winning this fight and don't see how he can win it.
I'm telling you, I'm giving him zero chances of winning the fight, and I'm really believing that he very well could get knocked out in the fight. My only contention in this fight is if he loses on points or if he loses on his back. I have no questions about him losing. He's going to lose the fight. I know that.
And I'm the total opposite, because I believe Devin Haney's boxing ability is so far superior to George's that he will navigate his way to a unanimous decision.
Look, I hear what you're saying, but like when that channel that I was on, okay, that we were on, that you referred to earlier, and I'm not going to say, when they said I was fucking crazy when I told them Kambosos was going to beat the shit out of Tio. They
I was hoping
yeah. They even said I was more crazy when I said Usyk was going to outbox AJ so bad that they couldn't rob him. I'm telling you, Haney has no avenues to victory in this fight.
No avenues?
Too early. It's too early.
Avenues?
No avenues.
Wow.
Who was that dude? Who was that dude that he almost lost to? Fucking Buddy is fucking pure ass. It was for the interim title. Who was it? Who was it? Not Linares. He beat Linares. It's the only other legitimate fighter he's ever fought.
Santiago.
There you are. Go watch the fucking Santiago fight and look at how many issues he had.
Yeah, but this is my point. We're going back to the Santiago fight. He did have issues in that fight, but we also know that since that fight he hasn't had those issues
because
he's caught.
Since that, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna cut you off. You keep going.
No, I'm just saying.
Go ahead. I'm being rude.
Since that fight, he hasn't had the issue. It tells me that he's gone back to the gym and worked on his flaws and mistakes, what he's made and what he's been making. Every time Devin Haney gets out there and you see him make a certain mistake, it doesn't happen the fight after.
Since that fight, he has not fought anybody who had any type of speed that was similar in size to him. Since that fight, he's fought an old man and a little man moving up. He's not doing that. Santiago is not 10% the fighter that George Kambosos is, and doesn't have 2% of the abilities that George Kambosos has in any category. Santiago is pure ass cream. Like when your butt is chapped, like you have diaper rash, the cream that you put on your ass, that's Santiago. That's how good he is.
Okay, so
And he gave Haney just a fucking jab. Just a jab. A guy, the first guy that he got into the ring with that was similar in height, that was young, with a jab, gave him issues for days.
yeah. Also, we're talking about where's Santiago? 2019. We are talking about
How many fights ago?
a.
Because time doesn't matter with COVID.
It was 2019.
Who's he fought since?
He has fought Gamboa and Aris, Jojo Diaz.
Right.
2000 but 2019.
He fought an old little man. He fought an old man who had been out of the ring, left in salt water, and brought to the ring to drop rust everywhere. And he fought a little guy who's good. Jojo Diaz is good. Don't get me wrong. He's a great fighter. He beat Tevin Farmer. Very good win. But he beat a little guy moving up. That was just too small stature-wise. Again, since Santiago, he has fought nobody young, his own size, that could fight.
Yeah, but I also remember in that Santiago fight, Devin Haney was just coming off of an injury, and he took the fight because he wanted to be active, because there was going to put him as a champion in recess, and he didn't want to be a champion in recess. He wanted to keep his world title. So he was coming off an injury and came back early from an injury to fight that fight. I do remember that. I do remember that.
This dude has had so many injuries. Like, his hand was hurt. That's why his dad bailed. Like, he hurt his hand. He couldn't get the knockout because he hurt his hand. No, he couldn't get the knockout because he was born with 2 bunny paws. That's why he couldn't get the knockout. and listen. I like Devin Haney. I think there's a lot of fighters that Devin Haney could beat. I think if Tank Davis gets in there with Devin Haney, Tank's going to have a lot of issues. I always thought that Devin Haney could beat Teofimo Lopez. I thought he could beat him on the outside, and Teo couldn't get in on him. I thought Teo was too slow with his feet to beat him. But when I look at Devin Haney versus George Kambosos, I see zero avenues of success. Zero. Like, normally when I do these fights and these predictions and I watch them fight, I give the other fighter at least a 30 to 40% chance that they could pull off the upset in my mind of who the counter person is to win. When I look at this fight, I see 0 chances. And this is the first time. I've never, ever, ever had. I've never been, like, with all my crazy predictions that always come true, I've never been this sure over anything.
You know what? I'm gonna say I respect your right to choose who you want to pick, because that prediction of giving Devin Haney 0 chance, that I can't roll with.
It's just like when Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather was talked about for years. Every time somebody asked me who would win the fight, I said 0% chance that Manny Pacquiao. Okay, so this is the second time. I said 0% chance that Manny has a shot at any given time. I even did a pre-fight breakdown that you can look from years ago whenever they actually did the fight, and I said Mayweather was going to beat Manny so easily it looked like a sparring match, and people argue with me. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know boxing. You don't know this. And I said, watch. Floyd is going to do this shit and not even sweat hard doing it. He is going to beat him. I even think I brought up the check hook that he caught Manny with all night.
Isn't Manny a speed fighter?
He is.
Isn't Floyd similar? Isn't Haney a similar fighter to Floyd?
Nowhere close.
No, give over. His style's not similar.
Fuck no. Let me tell you something.
His style's not similar.
Let me tell you how they're similar. Let me tell you how they're similar. I'm gonna tell you how they're similar. My son is very similar to me, but I'm better than him in every category because he's I'm not gonna say his age, but he's super young. There's
Yeah,
not
but
one category that my
yeah,
son, who's
but
similar to me, can hold a candle to me in. Yes.
no, but what I'm saying, Tony, is we're talking about a Floyd versus Manny and
Right.
a Haney versus Kambosos. Isn't Kambosos similar to Manny? How he fights? Speed fighter,
But
quick feet,
listen,
quick hands. Is that is that not what we're talking about? And we're
no,
talking
no, not
about
at all. Not at all.
no,
Not even comparable.
no.
No, because here's the problem. Manny is a pure inside fighter who comes at you at crazy angles. The shots that Manny can throw shouldn't even be possible, but yet he can still generate power throwing them. Kambosos can fight you from all ranges, whether it be long range, mid range, or up close. He fights from all distances, whereas Manny is an in pocket fighter with speed. It's completely different. Manny uses more body movement to get his way inside. Kambosos will fight you off the jab. I'm telling you, you got to
Fight
watch
who off the
all of his
jab?
fights.
Kambosos' jab is nowhere near Devin Haney's. Kambosos
I'm
ain't
not
out jabbing
saying it's
Devin
the
Haney.
same. I'm not saying his
If he
jab is near Devin
if
Haney. What I'm saying is unlike Manny, Kambosos will throw the jab to get in if he
he'll
wants
throw
to.
the jab and
He'll throw the jab to get away.
mhm.
They're different. They're not the same. And
this
he's much
this
bigger.
this is gonna be a speed fighter who's gonna keep walking into shots. He's got not even walking,
He's
running into
all
shots
right.
because he's gonna have to come towards Devin Haney while throwing punches, and he's gonna walk into shots, walk into shots.
Look,
And the
look.
only reason why he doesn't get stopped is because Devin Haney can't punch. If Devin Haney had a punch, he'd get stopped.
Let
And
me
this
tell
is
you
what's gonna
something.
this is how the
Go ahead.
fight's
Go
gonna
tell.
go.
Tell me. Tell me. Let's hear it.
Cambosis will keep running into shots. He's gonna go in there thinking he can just overwhelm Devin Haney with punches coming in quick. Devin Haney will counter him all
Okay.
night, and keep popping his head back with a jab, and he's gonna get frustrated and not know what to do.
So let me tell you how this is going to go. The first round is going to tell you everything you need to know about this fight. We're going to know in the first round if Kambosos is going to be able to knock out Haney. And what I mean by that is Kambosos is going to be able to touch him. He's going to do it because he's going to use that jab that you keep going to against Haney. He's going to slip underneath it, close the distance with his feet, get him in mid-range. And when he gets him in mid-range, he's going to let them hands go. Now, what we're going to see next is when Devin get hit, we're going to see how quickly can he escape. If he can escape quickly, then he'll last the 12 rounds. However, when he goes to get out the pocket, when he goes to get away from him, if Kambosos is similar in speed or slightly faster than Haney, and he cuts off that fucking ring and forces him to stay into the pocket, it's not going to go to 12. I'm telling you right now, the first round, you're going to either see Haney go into flight mode for the rest of the fight, and every time that he tries to do exchange with Kambosos, Kambosos is just going to land more, and Haney's going to get away. But every exchange, Kambosos is just going to land more. It's going to be I landed more shots than you, and that's why you lost. Or it's going to be Haney is too slow to get away, and he's going to get trapped. And whenever he starts getting hit, something he's not used to, he's going to break. That's how the fight's going to go.
Well, that's your breakdown. We've got my breakdown. We'll see who we will see who who comes out on top. I'm still baffled by you thinking Devin Haney can't win this fight at all, but okay. We shall see. We shall see,
And
Tony.
and so we shall. And this is a good spot to end the live stream right here.
Yeah. I'm gonna go
So,
bed.
all right, you go to bed. I'm going to go eat some dinner and go to bed myself.
All right, peace, Tony.
All right, have a good night.
All right, bye.
All right, the moral of this story 3 hours later is this 3:03 to be exact, with 18 seconds. You cannot duck somebody if you're fucking fighting him. So, George Kambosos, June 5th, is fighting Devin Haney. Therefore, George Kambosos cannot be ducking Devin Haney because he is fighting him. On that note, we're out. The last part of this, we'll do a snippet to see who was correct in their breakdown. More videos to come. But before that, I will be playing more video games because I love Elden Ring. Y'all have a good night.